It's supposed to give you this like sensation of like tingly like through your scalp, and like people watch them to fall asleep.
What?
Yeah.
It's
be,
basically
like
someone whispering.
yeah.
Close to the mic. They talk like this. And it sounds, and depending on if you have like surround sound or not, it like sounds like they're right there. And it's supposed to be like really relaxing. Yeah.
Like you
weird.
have a person next to you?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you want that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
okay.
I guess
Yeah.
if you wanted to, if you were a really lonely person, you wanted like.
Yeah. Don't you know the people
I don't
who
know.
hate cuddling? You know, I feel like those kind of people would not like that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like
Who
it would be
hates
just
cuddling?
weird
Would you
to
call
have
it
someone whispering.
ASMR.
ASMR.
It's like
Look them up. They're all over YouTube.
autosensory
I'm
memory
scared,
response.
but okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Some complicated acronym.
Yeah, they're weird ones too. Like they have like barbershop ones where like the sound of cutting hair.
Oh, God, that would be weird.
They have like typing ones, like just people typing for an hour.
That just
Like-
reminds me of, you remember how Lauren always had to hear white noise when we went to Chile? And she would go to sleep
yeah.
and like blast white noise into her...
Lauren.
Kaufman.
That's not the one I thought.
But,
All right. Go ahead and intro since.
Oh, we already started?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Zack Wigfield, and this is episode 3 of Amateur Artist Assembly. Today we're going to talk about animation. We're going to talk about the history of animation, the short history compared to other art forms, and we're going to talk about how the current modern animation is sort of the golden era. I think from here on out, it'll probably not decline, but you know, it's kind of like the renaissance for painting and drawing, I would say, with Pixar and cartoons we grew up with and that sort of thing. So, let everybody else introduce themselves.
Hey, Justin here again.
I'm James.
my name is Sarah B.
Sarah B's our guest today. She's an alumni of West Virginia University.
Graduated with my Bachelor of Fine Arts and a concentration in electronic intermedia and a minor in art history. I haven't had to spew that out in a while. It's been about a year. Yeah, it's a lot when you have to throw on your concentration to your Bachelor of Fine Arts, because nobody knows what a Bachelor of Fine Arts means anymore.
This whole BFA. They say,
It can be anything.
You can do art.
Yeah, I make art.
You're a creative person.
Great. Yeah, James and I were in the same concentration, which was very new. How did you even find out about electronic intermedia offered as a concentration?
I went in. I wanted to be an architect originally, and I went in and what's her name?
Allison Helms?
Yeah, that's right. She was like, we don't really have a good architecture program here, so I'm just gonna his name is Jerry Haybarth. Talk to this guy; he'll steer you in the right direction.
What do you want to do? Art architecture? Like what?
I just wanted
Like
to design buildings.
I just was wondering why you went to
skyscrapers.
her.
Huh? Well,
She's sculpture, but
well, she was like for the orientation when I was applying to college. Like she was the like if your major's gonna be art of any kind, talk to this lady.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a meeting.
And then
with
she
her.
sent you to Jerry.
Yeah, she sent me to Jerry, and he's like, here's a list of classes that you need to take, and Jerry's class was the class that stood out the most to me.
So you know what
yeah.
he was doing. You know what he was doing. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I see this kid. We don't have an architecture program. I'm gonna funnel him.
He did. Right. He had. I mean, we had a small class pretty much always, but it was like
Yeah.
the kids who were supposed to be there. We were, you know, we were talking about the one weirdest kid amongst the art kids, but we were all the weirdest of like the CAC pretty much.
Oh,
The
yeah,
musicians are pretty
definitely.
weird people.
Oh
but,
God, don't get me started on the bottom.
Right.
Well, yeah, there's just something about creativity that gets, like, weird
All
people.
the eccentric people.
Yeah.
Right. I've tried to write a paper on it once, and no one could. I mean, that's like, how do you write a paper on that? So the painters, you know, are extremely painterly, and you know, you've got the graphic design students who are orderly usually, and like their numbers,
The
and
graphic
then
design students that I'm with just are very pompous. No, that's not the right word. Pretentious.
yeah, because graphic designs. It's like
It's the
it's like
future
the
of
rich
art.
kids art school. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We went to go be like grungy, dirty art students.
Yeah.
So our major was like really for the misfits who don't know how to approach technology and art together.
Something I think's funny is they don't even call it animate. Well, I mean, you do a lot of animation in those classes. Isn't that the focus of it?
Yeah, well,
But they call it
electronic intermedia
intermedia.
is also known as time-based art. It's known as video manipulation, image manipulation. It's working with the media that we have now. It's manipulating media. So, we learned how to animate, and that was an aspect of our class, but it was really left open. Like, if this is a branch you want to take, because our teacher also was like, I'm going to teach you how to make stuff and animate things, but it's on I'm teaching on a very small scale. So if you want to take this and go learn how to create video games, this is where you would start. But most of us, that's kind of where all you go in animation is either video games or like slight, video making. But really, when you see animation, it's like kids shows, slightly animated adult shows, or video games. So there's a couple kids who wanted to take off in that direction, and they definitely did. But for the most of people, it was just an advantage to know how to do it if we needed to use it for our films. Because most of our major is just about filmmaking. Like we were told with our major we could go into. Yeah, you sound like a really perfect person, a candidate for that major. Maybe even that before sculpture is what you get into, because our major you can really incorporate sculpture if you wanted to. It's like, but you're prepped to make music videos, to make advertisements, to make movies if you want to make short movies. That's kind of where our major takes you. Like by our criteria near the end of our major was like, you need to submit your films to short film festivals.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
kind of what we were doing at the end. Make a film and then submit it to a couple of different festivals. We had our own festival too that we put on. So, that's kind of where we went. So, you can animate in there, and we did learn how to use. There's free animating tools you can get online.
Yeah, it's easier to get animating tools than it is to get
audio
photo
tools,
editing software, or audio editing.
Yeah,
software.
Definitely.
Animating's like one of those things where it's like, or they just freeware is.
Well, and maybe that's where animation is since it spawned from the video gaming world, it's a very free forming type of thing. Graphic design and videography are very tightly regarded almost, and it's like if you're gonna be video gaming and animation just kind of took on its own this back underground burner, kind of like anyone who had their own interest in it really took forth, and wasn't almost everyone's self-taught even.
Yeah, there's not a strict system.
Or even our teacher, even for that kind of stuff, was like, go find tutorials about it. There are people that are much more passionate about it online.
Oh man, if graphic design was taught like that, I feel like we'd get so many more good graphic designers, and not just the cookie cutter ones.
I'm just thinking maybe that's why so many animating products are free, is because that's the background that it grew up in. Even
it was its own. It built itself as its own art.
Photo editing is comes from magazines and journalism, and is all highly. It's supposed to be professionals and people who can afford photo editing programs, and animation's hey, do it if you can.
Yeah.
It is a challenge though, learning how a 3D space works.
Oh, yeah, I remember I tried playing around with Maya, and eventually just went back to Flash. Maya's
way too complicated.
Oh god.
They're menus, submenus, submenus for the submenus.
Yeah. Do you use something besides Maya now?
No, I haven't fiddled around with 3D animation since I graduated.
I'm thinking about the only thing I think I'm going to use Maya for is create, because you can make things move in there, and I might use keyframes, but mostly just make, because I want to make an object and then make it be able to turn in my image, not really be a 3D space, but just have a 3D thing that can turn and have sides. And so I'll just make that in Maya, bring it into my video editing site, and I can turn it so it will have sides, but then I don't have to actually make it have arms that work, and it doesn't have to have eyes that work. It can just it can just be a blob that I have turning that looks like a thing. So that's probably as far as I'll take my video editing. We're both more drawing based anyway.
Yeah. That's cool. I like the drawing based animation anyways.
I think we too were most of the kids in our class had their fortes. I think James and I were really the only drawing freaks, artists who made all of our own content, who really just drew everything on paper and put it into the computer. Most other people were creating in Photoshop or creating with pixels.
Yeah. Or Patrick would always, I'd look over and he'd be warfare, machine guns and stuff over at Zack Carroll chick, and he'd be building these big robots in Maya, rigging them up. And it's not that fun to me. It's just too complicated.
Yeah, and then James is drawing skyscrapers on skyscrapers on skyscrapers.
Hey, that's awesome though. It's all got its own respect.
Yeah, I think Zack did reach his big idea near the end that he was gonna, make a movie where they colonize Mars or something. Like, it took him 4 years to brainstorm this idea. And we're like, is that what you've been trying to think of all this 4 years? Like, just stewing over there, like, building spaceships and stuff? Like, that's what you're doing?
Creating this for my masterpiece.
He didn't even know. Finally, we like, told him on critique day, like, is this what you're doing? He's like, yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And we started off with stop motion. That was like one of our first projects, which was really useful in learning how to play with imagery and make it look like video.
I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember in our VOTEC classes we used to have a stop motion work like?
You mean
What
Mr.
I remember in
Sperling's?
not VOTEC, not Mr. Sperling's even. This was in middle school.
Oh,
The shop.
The
It was the shop,
vocational.
The weird shop class we had. It was like part of the school still, but it was just this big open room we had.
Yeah.
It had flight simulators, stop motion. We didn't even have a wood shop, I don't think. But
It was right next to the art room. I know what you're talking about.
But we had a class where we did stop motion, and that was my first, like, I guess, professional introduction to it, where we used software. Because before that, it was my cousin teaching me with Legos and doing the little Lego animations.
Yeah, those can be really well done.
But we had a class that had stop motion, and I remember we used the Gumby characters because they had the bendable arms and stuff like that. And oh man, I wish that it'd be awesome to have seen that take off into something more in high school, or if like our high school really dropped the ball, because I feel like our middle school did a decent job of having
A bunch
a
of
variety
stuff.
of classes. But it's like when we got to high school, it was all just your basic curriculum, and we had 3 art classes. That was it. And if you wanted anything else that had to do with art, it was...
Yeah, and there was nothing. There was like nothing on the computer or anything. Like there was no.
In that whole school.
Yeah, and that's how my high school was too. Actually, we just had one really enthusiastic art teacher, but just one art course.
We did get lucky about that. We
Yeah.
had a really enthusiastic art.
I actually I was graduating high school thinking that I had to do nursing. Like I was gonna go freaking into science and
Did you when
doctor
you
stuff.
did you go right to college after high school?
Yeah, right after, and I did even summer school right after graduating.
Did you go straight to WVU?
And my but it was so like up until graduation from high school, I just thought I was gonna be a nurse, and then my like boo, and then my mom, my art teacher actually approached my mother and was like, Sarah's really talented, and my mom came up to me and was like, you can go to school for art if you want. And I was like, no, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know that was allowed. Is that's a thing, really? I was already in the art honors, national art honors program or whatever, and they're like, we just got a rainbow tassel. It was pretty cool. So my mom was like, you can go to school for art, and I was so excited. I mean, I switched up my concentration like 3 or 4 times, but
oh yeah, you're among friends here with that. But
damn, Mom, next should be telling me we can major in candy.
yeah,
That's crazy.
like, what? That's allowed? You're gonna pay for that? No, she didn't. I had to get a bunch of scholarships, but I mean, I didn't think that was an option.
Yeah, in our high school, art was in the humanities section, so it wasn't like a lot of the stuff that wasn't appealing to me.
Different kind
Art
of
was cool, but it was not. I didn't want to do like social work and all that other stuff.
Right.
That's what it was included with.
And then
like art therapy.
It's like what?
there were more artsy things you could probably do. Like at the VOTEC, you could have probably done like a bunch of woodwork stuff, like a bunch of welding stuff. But nobody, you never think of that.
It wasn't that though. It wasn't art based. It was construction.
Yeah.
And the welding was, or like the metalworking was all like cars.
But still, it would have been
It would have been cool. But that's not. It didn't like.
You never think of that just because of the people who did it though. It was all like the hicks and the rednecks and stuff.
Yeah,
so you're like,
that's how our vocational school
never even thought about
it.
Yeah,
VOTEC, right? That's what you think it's supposed to be.
But yeah, if I'd have gotten to that stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't even when my mom regretted. She didn't even regret letting me go to art school. She regrets letting me go to Bonnaroo. She's like she went to Bonnaroo and she never came back.
She's never seen again.
That's cool. Whatever.
Arthur's still there.
Yeah. That was in 2010 too. So it's like, hey, you can go to art school, and now I'm going to Bonnaroo. I was like, 2010 was a really big year.
Oh, that's awesome. I've yet to go to a big music festival, and that makes me really sad.
It's kind of over. The medium to small ones are where it's at anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go to a big one just to experience it once. Not even Bonnaroo. I would just like to go to EDM festival.
Electric Forest.
Yeah. I have a lot of
I
friends.
kind of want to go to Burning Man. I think
Burning Man would be cool.
Get
It's a
sand
one-time
everywhere, though.
experience,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I mean, it'd be cool to see you went and basically you survived. Because it's... What is it? They take... Like, you don't bring anything with you. You live off of each other, basically. Like, everyone brings, like...
You can't even, like, sell, like, water. It's supposed to
Yeah.
be non-capitalized
Yep.
and
Yep.
everything like that.
I feel like it would be an awesome experience, but...
We have to bring stuff to share, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So you-
well, a lot of people do that. They bring, like, big ice trucks so you can hand out
But you
ice.
just don't...
Sure.
There's not money involved.
Yeah. You don't, like, buy your food. People are there. They make it. And then...
People there are, like, really generous with everything, too, and they're very...
It's real hippie. Yeah, it's super hippie. But
Probably a lot of bartering.
Yeah.
Trading.
Yeah, you'll find that at most festivals, though. Like, I mean, granted, there it's not like like a rule you have to ask, but people are willing to do it. But I was thinking about the concentrations I tried out though. Definitely started out with printmaking, and then I went into graphic design too.
So many of my... people I've met in the program, because
It's too many freaking processes. I'm more about the drawing aspect, and it's like, oh, drawing is just like 1/16 of what you're doing here.
well, here's my shtick with printmaking is that I feel like it's a novelty major.
Okay. Yes.
I feel like it's something you'll be able to use in maybe like Seattle or just a place like that.
Yeah, like bookbinding.
Yeah,
That's what.
yeah.
Right.
And then after that, it's like because it doesn't really
Because it's so manufactured anymore too.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
who wants that to be? I mean, who needs that to be handmade anymore? I agree with you. They're really great. It's really great for like posters and nice small.
Yeah. If you're gonna be in an area
unique
where you can do that
books.
kind of stuff, awesome. And the thing that also sucks about it is the equipment you have to do it. You either have to have a place to do it, or you're gonna have to pay a shit ton of money.
Yeah, or
press,
work in it. I mean, there are
or
print labs
shop
you can work,
to do
but
that. It's-
yeah,
There's
It
only,
is-
I've heard of places where they like go and they let you use this stuff for free, if you bring like your own inks and stuff like that. But that one I feel like is a weird one to major in.
a lot of people take that into screen printing and shirts
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But that's like there aren't as many options with that.
I feel like I would enjoy just taking it as a class, and then just being like, oh, I know how to do this, because I can even find more
But the thing is, it is such a acquired art. Like I took
Wouldn't be able to
one
take one
class,
class and
and
do that,
yeah,
yeah.
you know how to do it, and you understand it, but you don't you're not good
Not
at it by
perfect
any
at it.
means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
It's still there's a lot more that you don't even realize goes into it. Like you think you could just follow the instructions 1, 2, 3 and it's easy, but each time like some kind of little thing is off and you have to know how to counteract
Yeah.
it. Like I don't think I may have gotten like 2 or 3 even prints the whole fucking
Really?
the whole freaking
Oh, that'd be
semester I was there.
frustrating.
You know, it's very frustrating. But I mean, and I agree with you though. It's like it's not as necessary. I try to, you want to make something that's necessary and like that's proactive in the community and like puts back as an artist. So it's like how some rich person might want their own bound book,
Yeah.
but like
I
really,
hate to even say that about any type of art too.
Right.
But the unfortunate thing about it is it's also in the same category as painting and drawing and all the other more foundational types of art because of digital art.
yeah,
Digital art's gonna kill it because
it's so accessible.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I am in graphic design, but I kind of hate myself for it because I can sit here and make stuff on a computer, and I make it, and it's like, oh yeah, this came from my head, but it just feels so like there's a disconnect between the hard work that I have to put in to make like a watercolor painting or a really good drawing.
I
Makes
agree
me
with
sad.
you. Yeah, I almost lost my mind for the 4th year in our major. This is before I tore my ACL. I was so pissed off at just sitting there in front of a computer for so many hours, and I realized that was what my life was going to be about. Not even for the rest of my life, but just for that semester and graduating. I brought a bouncy ball. I didn't even sit on a swivel chair, and I wore rollerblades every day, roller skates, and I would skate down to the bathroom because it was like a good 3-minute walk if you had to go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
but if you're on skates, it's like 30 seconds, and it was all flat. So I was just trying to make the most fun of it because I'm a very just active, energetic person.
Yeah.
It was driving me crazy. I mean, obviously, I was just my body, like that's part of why I tore my ACL too. It's because I wasn't fit enough to fall off the stage. If I had been like a little bit better in shape, I probably wouldn't have hurt myself so significantly, but I was not in shape. I was, staring in front of this computer. I could definitely tell my eyesight was being affected. Yeah, it was, and I'm just like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm much more of a physical kind of person, and that's, I've kind of, it's nice to have that computer background there, especially so I can advertise for myself, or I can get a safe job if I need to, but like I want to look at a physical matter and like work with something, sculpture. I'm a sculptor.
Yep. There was one day where we rolled you down in the rolly chair in the elevator just so we could go outside and smoke.
Oh, was that when I was broken?
Yeah. Like I don't think you had the roller skates yet, so yeah, you had like one leg up on a chair and you were sitting in another chair, and we had to push you out onto the elevator.
Yeah, that was when I did tear my ACL. Like the last couple weeks, I remember that. Like, I was like, I can't go, but I want to smoke to push me. That was bad because it was right before finals. I had a web design class actually, and I was always late, and all my projects were always late, but I loved the class. And I showed up the last week in like crutches, and just like I would use my crutches to shove this wheelie chair with all my backpack and everything on it in front of me, but it hurt really bad. I tore my ACL. So by the time I finally got to the classroom, I was in tears. I'm just like bawling, and my teacher was like, he felt so bad. It was ugly. Yeah.
This reminds me of, you remember in high school when Jonas had some foot surgery or whatever, and he had his little scooter thing?
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that.
Dude, everyone's got scooters in the CAC, though. People
like,
cruising.
I can't remember. It was like a real small metal contraption.
Put his knee on it. Like, he would stand up, and he would have like his knee like this, and then he'd like.
It was like a wheelchair for just your knee.
Yeah.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's got a knee thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
So that you don't,
it was just funny though, because Jonas is kind of like a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Guys, like.
Yeah, he's just like cruising around the school on his little scooter thing.
I forgot about that.
That's hilarious.
I forgot about that.
Did he look like a cyborg?
A little bit.
Yeah, it was this little like rolling.
Yeah.
On wheels.
Funny.
And just something about Jonas's personality too. It just made me giggle.
Yeah.
It fit him for some reason.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of friends help me out in that period. We had wheelie chairs. Like, I'm pretty sure I just had everybody go get me everything. It's probably always James. Like, James, can you get me this?
Going to Starbucks, getting coffee, muffin for Sarah.
I'm like, here's the money, take my car, I don't care. No, it was only like the last couple weeks, thank God.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was
the rest of
good
college
time.
was really fun. Yeah, we had great times, and of course Chile. If you can take an out of
way ahead of you.
if you could take an abroad trip. I mean, because after you pay what you would pay for a class anyway, it ends up being like a couple $100 over what you would spend for a course.
You get basically twice the credit hours you would get for like one course, because it's typically the ones they do that I've found are like 6 credit hours.
Right.
And it would be in an art. Like you don't have to have like 6 credit or
your teachers are
you have to have
like,
a couple.
I don't know what, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's beneficial for them or the university, but they are so willing to help on those trips. Like, they want to be accommodating for your schedule and your graduation. So like, if it's gonna help them ease this one class into one of the credits to get you to go on the trip, they're willing to do it. I don't know if that's because they don't want those programs to be cut out.
That's what I love about the teachers at the art school is they understand.
The teachers at the art school are like no other. I'm sure the journalism school will be like that too, but they are just like anti-establishment. They're don't please go look this up on YouTube because it's going to teach you better than me.
And it's such a change from when I was in engineering, because all the teachers in the engineering school were engineers.
Yeah, and they're like, I've been an engineer 30 years.
Yeah, and I know
everything.
They're real pretentious, and they don't teach because they don't know how to teach because they were an engineer. They think you should just know how to do things. They give you formulas, and if you don't know it, they're like, oh, you're an idiot. You should know this. I know this. So, yeah, I really hated
Yeah, I mean, I'd never had an adult approach me like that until art school, like as an equal. They really don't.
That's what's so nice about it.
Come in and say, like, I'm teaching you. They're like, and they're so willing to help too. They're not, like, oh, you're wrong. They're like, oh, this is another way to do it. Just the teachers there really opened up my eyes. I mean, I could have learned, and even the teachers explained to me, like, I could have learned everything on my own if I really had that determination to and knew where to look online myself. But the experience I got from my teachers, like, and just telling you what's up about being an artist in this day and age. Because they're all artists, you know? Yeah. I've come to really learn that I think bartending and art just go hand in hand.
I wanted to bartend at Olive Garden. Because when I worked there, I didn't want to.
Don't bartend corporate.
I want to go there and bartend, but
don't bartend corporate.
I'm here. There's a bar here. Maybe I'll bartend.
Corporate jobs like that, they are so fucking awful. You don't even learn how to bartend.
I know how. Oh.
Yeah, go to like a small town facility, but it's just
I was gonna go to South Park and try to get a job.
Katie's.
Yes.
Do it. Oh, you'd be perfect there. You're a perfect fit. Fucking go. How old? You're 23, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, I pegged you as younger than that, but like I started it.
No, it's okay. I was surprised you actually remembered.
I started at 18 actually, and I've just come to find that bartending is really, when you are an artist
and you make connections.
You need to be stimulated with like new and new people, lots of people, like just unfamiliar and as much information as possible, and so that's a really good way to just meet new people, learn new topics, hear new stories, learn about new jobs, absolutely everything. And that's always, I've come to find, been really stimulating in what I end up making.
You heard it here first. If you're an art major, go be a bartender.
Yeah, right? Hey, it pays. It pays too.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. My art teacher, I don't know if you had Stuckey, maybe? Tracy Stuckey?
Yeah, I did.
He's freaking fabulous. And he told me he paid for his whole art education, bartending.
If you're a good bartender, you can make good money. So, now to reel us back into the topic here.
I wanted to ask real quick. I just wanted to see what everyone's favorite their favorite cartoon
exactly what I was gonna ask
was, and then their favorite animated movie was as a kid.
As a kid?
Yeah, as a kid.
Oh, okay. When I was really, really little.
Just the first time you remember falling in love with an animated movie or show.
It was a movie about a penguin, and his name was Scamper. I bet no one's heard of it. But that was the first animated movie that I watched as a little kid that I loved. This is embarrassing. I got a little duck from my aunt, and I named it Scamper, and it went everywhere with me. And yeah, that's how animated movies have affected my life. But let's see. Someone else go for now. I gave my embarrassing story.
I don't know. Well, my favorite Disney movie. Have you guys seen The Sword and the Stone? Merlin.
I think
and,
so.
Arthur.
Yes. I love those.
I like that one because it's the only animated Disney movie. It looks unfinished.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't have the same Disney
glamour.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know what you mean. It's very sketched.
Yes, and they did another one. They did another one that was similar to that. It was The Wizard's Apprentice, or the.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
That's kind of
how. Same art style.
I mean, I don't know because I don't remember it, but it sounds kind of like the Robin Hood movie that Disney did with
it was similar to that. I bet that was the same animator actually, because it was.
I like that style.
All those were that same kind of I don't know. It was Disney's movies or Disney animation to me is always very kind of
shiny and kind of round.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's got a very round. Well, it's a bunch more round. That's a good way to describe it. These were a lot more
flat and edgy.
Flat, but they were thin and they were very I don't know. Just imagine how the fox looked on. You just said it.
The Robin Hood movie.
Robin Hood movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, imagine how he looked. He was a thin kind of, I don't know, just top heavy kind of character, rather than the Disney ones that are all these kind of goofy looking noodle armed.
Yeah.
Things.
I do appreciate the noodle arm.
Don't get me wrong, I love that. But the ones that we're talking about, the ones that I hold dear.
Yeah. But or stuff like Steamboat Willie, the old 1930s, Mickey Mouse on the tugboat. His voice is just a bunch of bells. He doesn't and
That's why you play Game and Watch and Smash.
It's like this faceless representation of art, I guess. Well, I guess Mickey Mouse.
It's very whimsical too.
Yeah.
It's the whimsy that I appreciate, because I don't think you can find that anywhere else or in many other places.
Popeye. Popeye kind of.
Yeah.
And that's a good point too, because if we're gonna get into the history part, at that point, I mean, now you get into cartoons where everything's, it's all like it's very story based kind of to keep you interested because you're so used to animation. But at that point, it was like fresh and new, so the animation itself is what
they were like stretching their arms, just trying to see what they could do.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. They were like, "Oh, we got sound effects now. Let's see what we can do with those."
the weird, wacky.
Oh, we got like different ways of animating. Let's try that. Yeah, that's a good point actually. Now you do see animation does have a lot more focus on story because, in my opinion, now it's trying to compete with live action. Where it's trying to be on the same level as it, because whereas before it was live actions where you'd go if you wanted to see story.
Mm-hmm.
You'd go to the cinema for things like that. I mean, heck, the cartoons started out like Nickelodeons. They were really short, quick things you could take in real quick, and it was kind of fun and childish. But like,
it's the same as like any art form, kind of. At first, it starts out as like a novelty because that's how movies
it's an
were.
Experiment almost.
Yeah.
They're
So
trying to test out what they can do. But I just lost what I was talking about now. Oh yeah, but it is neat to see animation now. Like I see a lot of cartoons like Gravity Falls, Adventure Time, all these things that have like I've actually never. Don't kill me here. I don't know if you guys, because every time I talk to someone about this, they always get mad at me. I haven't watched Adventure Time yet.
Really?
What?
I haven't watched it a whole lot.
I know. I want to because everyone always tells me it's great. But
it is really good.
I've had so many dads tell me it's great. They're like, I love watching this with my kid, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, well, you know how kids cartoons
I know,
and nowadays have to have the multiple levels to entertain parents as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But when it's so exciting that it's getting parents like enthused about it, like I want to watch this with my kids. I mean, I've seen a couple episodes, but it's very like back to basics drawing, which I love. That really sunk me in with. I haven't watched it very much myself, but. That was really great to see them go back to that kind of old school 90s like cartoon.
That's exactly what it is because I can remember I watched cartoons clear up through high school, you know what I mean? Like you never grew out of cartoons, but eventually it starts to get like these just aren't as good.
Oh my god, when they turned Garfield into like Superman and he's 3D, like that's not not Garfield.
That's not okay.
That's not okay.
Did anyone ever see Garfield?
That's-
movie
those-
they made where they like
it's
came
not as-
out of the cartoon into reality, and it was just like these horrible 3D animation.
Yeah.
I've seen that. But it's like I haven't seen the new SpongeBob movie either. But when they made them all like 3D and like a 3D creature, like no, that's gross. That's not cartoon like what we want. We want stupid lines, like
But
not the seamless, 3D.
because Adventure Time was the first cartoon since then that I watched, and I was like, "This is how a cartoon should be." Like this just makes me
back to the
feel like a kid again.
Giggly.
It's but at the same time, it's kind of like it's nice because it is a little mature. Like
it
has mature characters in a way and mature
episodes.
plot points.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it a whole lot. But
They did exactly what was needed in the cartoon world.
Yeah.
When it was just dying, it was just like dying so hard, and someone just threw back to the 90s for Adventure Time.
Yeah.
I think I was so confused when I first started, because I wish I had taken more into video games when I was a kid because it was so new and I really could have just latched on and learned like so many 90s babes did. But I think my SpongeBob was like the first cartoon I really took and ran with and was like, holy hell. I mean, when I remember like being really, because I've been an artist since age 3, like since I knew what I was doing, I've been drawing. And I remember being really confused by Pocahontas, the movie, and Hercules. I remember those two because Pocahontas was very like
Hercules.
lifelike, and Pocahontas was done like the characters were made to resemble real humans. They weren't played up.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at Pocahontas and looking at my arm and being like, "Where's the black line that surrounds me? Where's my drawing outline?" Like I put my legs together. I'm like, "Is that like where's the line that she's got?" Like I couldn't understand it in my tiny little brain. But then Hercules came on and they got like swirly knees. And I'm like,
oh man, I love
it
that.
really came into play when I watched Hercules as a child. That this is like, and then I remember seeing some like when you watch after the movie on the VHS, they show you like the drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
And like one of those two movies just like made me realize what this was that I was watching. It's like a bunch of pictures really fast. And so then I just kind of got the idea of it. But when SpongeBob came out, like I was drawing him. I drew him like a pro within the first year he was out. I couldn't quit drawing SpongeBob. It was like, so if that's a first cartoon or animation, it's not even animation, it's like, it is cartooning, but the first animation, like what's the first animation that really got to us? It was probably it was all video games. I'm trying to think the first like animation movie that was a big thing.
First animation movie.
Lion King for us, probably. I mean, at least.
But that's still in the realm of. Yeah, no, I guess that would be.
Because I think Lion King came out when we were, at least for me, when I was like 2 or 3 years old, or maybe 4 or 5. But that was what I was gonna say was my first big like movie where I was like just fell in love with animation.
I mean, that's still that's still a lot of imagery based. I'm talking about like chunky 3D figures. You know, I mean, was that I don't.
Well,
like the technology that Avatar needed. What was that we first saw it I mean, probably movies like that weird Garfield movie you're talking about when they first introduced like real characters with animations.
That was a little later even than that. I'm trying to think. There was a couple that I just saw recently again as an adult that I was like, holy shit, that looks so bad now. Oh, I remember one. This one's not that old, but for some reason I remember it, and it was that weird animation. You could tell it was like straight out of Maya or something like that. Roly Poly Oly.
Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Those were so
those
bad.
kind of things. Those are like the first ones out that you were just like,
whoa, they really couldn't make any more. They had to make robots because they couldn't make anything. It was realistic.
That was that's a great example.
Yeah.
Or even like VeggieTales. Like
VeggieTales,
I've never watched it,
one.
but
that was a good one.
I don't know. I know a lot of people like it.
Oh, it's so simple though.
Yeah, it was really
it's a good representation of that.
Yeah.
Like if you look, oh man,
like they don't have hands. They can't actually manipulate anything. They just have like a spinning thing over their head.
Watch those and look at the backgrounds they use. They're all like real basic, simple kitchen countertop backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember I used to have an old 3D house modeling program, and it looked like something straight from that.
Probably, yeah, and like South Park was early into
animation. Yeah.
Like,
that was the first kind of like physical. It started out stop motion, didn't it?
It started out as stop motion, and what got them into more animating was their mouths, making the mouths move like real mouths, and that's and that's really what took it off. And now I think the whole thing is computerized, it's really really easy. Like they were talking about how, I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen that documentary of making a South Park episode, but like back to when they used to make it with cut paper, how long it would take versus now they just like put a cartoon together, sync up its mouth with what the words should sound like.
You can make South Park in Flash, and Adobe Flash,
right.
I remember when The Simpsons was really popular. Bart Simpson is like the hugest influence on my life. I love Bart Simpson so much.
It's amazing that The Simpsons is still going.
Yeah.
Just over Thanksgiving.
It's the longest running cartoon.
Family was watching,
It's the longest, like, continuous. Like, I guess you could say Mickey would be, but like.
And it's still funny too, is the thing. It's like not, like, I mean, it might not be as good as its golden era, but it's not like washed out or anything.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think South Park is a great example of that change from animation that is just kind of stretching its limbs to fully fleshed out into focusing more on the content. Because the first couple episodes of South Park, they did focus on a little bit of like controversial content here and there, but it was a lot more just like kind of deadpan humor and slapstick comedy. But they've kind of escalated into political humor
super
and
political now.
Very big satire.
A lot more about the content,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm just thinking about those shows that you just really see more of the animation playing. Like, you know how Family Guy's all changed recently. They used to be super flat and just almost two-dimensional. And now it's like, oh, we're whizzing around the house now and you can see everything. You can just tell where the seam... it's not even seamless. You can tell where the seam ends, from the 3D to the they don't even really try that hard. But, there's some movies where and it'd be really funny to go back and explore that, like the movies that came out in like maybe the late 90s or early 2000s that incorporated like inserting a Maya 3D built thing into a space, into a set, when actors had to act around that. Because that's, whenever that first technology came out, that'd be something cool to look up actually. Like, what was the first movie they managed to do that?
It kills me that I can't remember them because I know I've seen a lot of that stuff. I remember watching a lot of corny movies as a kid.
Well, I mean, that's just like an art in itself, just working with like a thing that you're supposed to, that you don't know how to interact with. Like, you know how they have...
imagine it's there, and then they put it in post. Oh, man.
I wish I had more of a video gaming background on that, because video gaming is really where animation took off and like...
Oh, yeah, you could definitely
man.
go back and see that kind of stuff. Like, I remember going from Nintendo and the old Mario to the way he looks now, it's like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and people really understand the, space, like it's a whole different understanding of a 3D space and pixels and like how something is rendering or
It's actually kinda
moves
crazy.
around.
Video games kind of created a generation that could interpret 3D space on a screen.
In a computer, in a different realm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like that was an idea that was really hard for me to grasp, not being a video gamer and having only watching imagery or animation from the screen, like being on the outside of the screen. Like whenever you're creating something, you're in there making it in its space. It's right. Like I do wish I gamed more, but I feel like maybe I would have not learned as much because I'd be still gaming.
It's very true.
Yeah, it has a way of sticking with you. But I will say I got a lot of my imagination from it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting watching it from the outside, like watching everybody else game and not being into it. Cool. I'm like,
That's what it is. It's a beautiful it's a beautiful combination of art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked about this before. It combines music with, concept art, pen on paper, animation.
Even cinema anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cinema, it combines writing, it combines every element of creativity into one product.
One interactive
that can deliver
media.
this beautiful experience. It's.
See, I'm just not patient enough to sit there and experience it. I'm like,
I just think you didn't find the right
game.
I've sat around and watched people, like, Portal's pretty interesting, but, like, just going back to, like, sitting and completing my major, like, I just cannot sit and cross-eye at a computer anymore.
Hey, with the invention of VR, reality, maybe that won't be a problem anymore.
Yeah, maybe not.
I've seen
just
really...
throw yourself right into
They already have, like, I'm sure they're really expensive, but they have setups to where...
Oh, where you literally
can walk. Yeah,
it's like those orbs, and the way it works is it
has you like fenced in on like You
have a virtual reality headset on, so you can literally just walk around.
You're the character, and you're running around like you're physically moving.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Moves the character.
That'd be insane. I
That
feel like
would
people
be
get trapped in that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awful when it comes to like horror games.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a whole nother level.
Imagine if you were strapped into it where you like couldn't just
take it off.
Take it off real quick.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen the goggles that you put on your face.
Yeah,
and, like it's even better if you're in a wheelie chair.
Oh yeah.
If you're in a swivel chair, my God. I mean, you can if you're on a roller coaster, you can just whip yourself around. You're really on a roller coaster. But that's
Have you
kind
ever
of
tried one of those? VR headsets?
Yes.
I haven't got to try one yet.
I
want to so bad.
Wait, no, I'm just talking about the cardboard box you fold out and you get an app and you put your phone in it.
The thing that Google came out with, you put your phone in that. Yeah, those are cool.
Those are brilliant.
I've tried those.
I haven't tried that.
You can get them for $1. It's kind of like Google's joke thing.
Yeah, it really is, but they're cool.
It's just got 2 convex lenses in it, and it gives you like a kind of.
And it's like a cardboard fold out. You put it together, and it has got a little like magnet or something that you put your phone in, and then you're just putting your phone to your eyes, and it makes you a little world of some sort. There's like there's a zombie game in it too, like, and there's I think a button that comes with it, so like a clicker that comes with your headset, so you can. I remember like a zombie game, like I just had to hold the thing up and watch the zombies and like kill it with. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty wild.
It's neat stuff. I think that kind of thing will make it games accessible to a lot more people. It'll make it more interesting to a lot more people.
I just hope people don't get like sucked into that and like this is my life now.
Yeah.
People already do that with things that aren't virtual reality. So.
I feel like there's been this counterculture building though, and it's really it's so fascinating to me. These people that are realizing that the internet is taking over, and also people that realize that there's. Excuse me, I don't even necessarily agree that the internet is running out of space, but it's running out of content and like good content.
Yeah.
And people,
like now it's just replications of.
It's just memes over and over.
Of course, right? Like how many times can you say the same thing? So people are really getting to realize that it's more about your experiences and your surrounding. And so I don't know. I could see the internet turning off, like the people being off put by it more so, like instead of people getting more embedded in it, some people turning away and saying like, let's not be so embedded in it and use it to our advantage, and especially in medicine and whatnot, but like let's be a little less embedded.
I already see that with our generation compared to our parents' generation. It's
Yeah.
funny how they grew up
Isn't
telling
it?
us to stay off that internet, but now like the people who are most into like social media, like Facebook, like that's at least for me in my family, that's like my parents and my grandparents.
Oh yeah.
They're like. That's where they get all their news from. They're like, did you see what so and so put on Facebook? I'm like, no, because I'm not on it all the
Every time I
time.
go home and visit my grandma, she's a Facebook whiz now.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like,
She's like, did you
Did
know
you
what
see
happened?
what Jesse said on that page the other day? Or she's like in a bunch of groups now for her hometown.
Oh my gosh. She's like mayor of town on Facebook.
Ion Kaiser.
Oh God! Don't say Ion Kaiser.
I hear
It's just-
Emily Smoot talking about that all the time.
A community page for our town, and it's just the most ridiculous people in our town post on it, and they don't know what grammar is. They don't know what periods are. They don't know they don't know how to
They
spell.
just like to rant.
They don't know how to
It's
spell
so funny.
words like for, or how, or
It's
like,
amazing the people you get
Wow,
on there
it's
sometimes.
bad.
Like,
But then there are cool things. Sorry,
no, you're good. Go ahead.
there are cool things that you can still be part of. Have you heard of the Morgantown Yard Sale Facebook page?
Oh, I have. I'm not part of it because I don't use Facebook anymore. But
Those are the small reasons I still
Better
keep
sometimes.
Facebook. But it's just weird that everyone thinks that there's this sure and steady incline on internet use. Like oh, we're just gonna get more and more into it, and I don't think that it necessarily has to happen.
it's like you were saying, yeah. I think there's definitely our generation started out getting like real. We were the forefront, the forerunners
Digitalizing.
on digitalizing, and then now we're starting to realize, okay, it's not all there is.
There's life beyond this,
Yeah.
right? People, and it's like our
And it's funny because the generation before us, worried that was what was going to happen, and in doing that, they did it themselves. And now we like.
Well, think of it. When they grew
Our
up too, they were all looking forward to like the Jetsons, and they really did.
retrofuturism's so
That's
cool.
true. That's
Yeah, right. Retro future. So they really think that is the ultimate like Earth is what you see in what was that movie with freaking Jared Leto. Mr. Nobody. Right?
Good
Everyone,
movie. Good movie.
right? As everybody thinks that the future is going to be like that, and like that's
Yeah.
the epitome of humans. Is like that's what we need to do. But our generation is realizing like no, that's not where all of life is. Even
Imagine being our grandparents and like expecting jetpacks by now, and instead all we get are stupid smartphones. What a ripoff.
hey, they got those water jetpacks. Like
Yeah,
that's
we
close
do.
enough.
We do have those water jets.
I'll settle for that.
I'd love to see.
Hover
I'd love
If
to
I
see it
don't
all.
die
Yeah,
with a
hover-
Yeah.
jetpack, it'll be okay.
Back in the 80s with Back to the Future.
Yeah,
like
the-
they had the
hover
hover
skateboard.
skateboard or like the self-tying shoelaces. Like,
which Nike is apparently working on now.
oh yeah.
Jesus Christ. What, do they have drones on each side of the shoelace?
Yeah, I guess.
And they tie it for you. Oh my god.
Oh,
Like,
they do a little formation.
see, I think we could just be done. Like, we should just plateau with drones for a while. Like, let's not invent anything new and just do what we can with drones for like a good 10 years. And then we'll come up with something. I don't know.
I definitely. I mean, well, here's the thing. I feel like we are on that exponential rise in technology, but I feel like we're starting to hit a slight plateau with it.
Well, also,
I feel like we're getting to that point at least.
I mean, I'm sure you guys know that the internet is, there are physical files and there are physical wires and, there's
Oh yeah, like there's
tubes and grids and whatnot. And it's all a lot more physical than what it needs to be. Eventually, I think that'll run out to, it will all be wireless,
I don't
satellite.
think it'll be our laugh. Well, I don't know actually, because
satellite...
with exponential growth, things.
Well, the
suddenly go
singularity, like it's what 2050 that it's estimated, where it like
Jesus Christ.
Singularity, yeah, the
yeah.
one.
yeah, like where technology like surpasses humans and like robots will be the ones inventing new things and like we won't have to do anything, or I
I mean,
know.
that's. I mean, it's kind of happening now. I mean, we've got.
I could
computers
see
and
the
technology
internet
that
dying
are
in our lifetime, though. The internet dying and becoming something new.
becoming something new.
Yeah, I could see
I could
that.
definitely see
More
that.
wireless, more satellite
I
based.
could definitely see that.
And probably more reliable. Because, I mean, think about it. If the internet fucking crashed right now, everyone would freak.
Oh yeah.
It would be
Everyone
nice.
would.
It would just
I mean,
be
if
a
something
mess.
happened to that physical matter. So, granted, it has been like as many photos as I've lost, as many files and data, as much data as I've lost. The internet has been the number one thing where I haven't had to lose files. Like it has always been there for me.
Relying on cloud storage now.
Right. But I
Because
think
it's the one thing that like is always there. That as long as the internet's there, it'll always be there.
right. But then one day, I mean, and it would be nice if they found this new way of web and information surfing, with before the internet has to crash. That way everyone doesn't have to lose all their files and stuff, you know, if you figure that out first. But definitely nice to have backups on backups on backups on backups.
3 hard drives.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I hate about being a digital artist.
Oh, that's why you have to. I mean, I have a 4 terabyte hard drive, a 2 terabyte hard drive,
1 terabyte hard drive.
another terabyte hard drive.
That pains me.
I have to delete things and just be like, all right, do I really need this? Oh.
No, go get shit. Office Depot is a lot cheaper than Best Buy. I've come to find because they want it.
Really? Because I keep finding.
Oh, Best Buy is so expensive for
I know
everything.
Best Buy is expensive, but I feel like Office Depot is not that good.
I went there trying to get a 2
mind,
terabyte hard drive, and I was like, I really want this 2 terabyte hard drive, and they didn't have it, and then they told me they'd have it this other day. I came back and they're like, here, we'll just give you the 4 terabyte. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a 4 terabyte hard drive for $69.
I will say that the employees at Office Depot are, well,
They're bored.
Yeah, they're definitely bored. But one in particular is an asshole. I'm not going to mention any names. I actually don't even know his name. I just know what he looks like. But he works at the print desk.
Oh.
And he's very scraggly looking.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. I avoid the
asshole.
shit out of him. I literally go into Office Depot every time with written instructions just for him. And I go there and I see the other people and I'm like, oh, glad I could go this way because there's one person I have to bring instructions for.
Yep.
You know who it is. They do. They do. So everyone else is pretty great besides him. I'll tell you that.
There was one guy that was there, a bigger guy. He might still be there. But he apparently was, or is an alumni of WVU.
Oh, yeah?
So he knows, like, how to do what we need to do. Like, the reason I had to go there was
Isn't it so annoying when you go there and you're like a graphic design student and you're like, I need this and like 300 DPI and blah, blah, and they're like, what? Like, let me go back there and use your printer.
Yeah, it's like, can I just do your job so I can get the right stuff?
Well, thank God they can turn the computer around to you.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
No, I had to deal with that guy one time when I was, like, trying to print ahead of time because I knew that around the holidays they get a rush. And they can't, like their printers are filled up with people
and broken
off.
and
Print off, I don't know what. I want, like, pictures. Like, who does that anymore?
Christmas cards. Yeah, no.
There's a
People
lot of
still do
grannies who want it all.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Physical.
I asked him how long, like, I just needed to print one. It was for my, what was it for? It was for the superhero project. Where you had to do, like, a superhero design for.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
And I just had to print off one more logo. And he's like, well, it's probably going to have to wait till, like, tomorrow. I'm like, what? You mean, I'm coming here early so you guys don't have all this shit that you say you're going to have. And the printers aren't doing anything right now. I'm looking at them, and there's nothing coming out of them. They're not making any noise. And I'm like, are you printing anything? He's like, no, but we're getting ready to. So I waited a little bit, and they didn't. He just sat there. It's that guy, and he's an asshole. And calling you out, man. You caused me so much grief.
I really wish though with our
go
major we did learn more about like Adobe shit Illustrator. Like we didn't learn anything on Illustrator.
That's the beauty of this graphic design program.
That's the only thing we didn't know how to use. So we didn't learn really anything about vectors. We didn't learn about
That's a shame,
color
too,
pairing,
because
color theory. We didn't learn anything about text. It was all kind of like, oh, you're artists, so you get it how it works.
Yeah, you should know how this works.
So that's kind. I mean, and thank God we did. Most of us did have an eye for it, but there are some people who came in there and really didn't have that kind of an eye, and they really needed that instruction.
That sucks because Illustrator is so it's so valuable. It's
right.
such a good tool.
Granted, I mean, we get it, and there's a lot you can still do in Photoshop that you do in Illustrator, but I mean, and in our degree, you could really fudge it, but. We should have known more about that. I talked to Jerry a lot and was like, there are some courses you really should embed more into our electronic intermedia concentration, graphic design being one of them, and web design. I went and had to like get myself signed into the web design HTML course, and I loved it, and it was extremely beneficial. But they couldn't put they just
looking for this for a while.
They just couldn't. They needed to require that. Like, I was like, how? Like, I'm being taught to make all this online media. Like, ooh, that's so cool. Right.
That's what I had to buy because they were giving me stuff and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, you should already know this. I'm like, okay.
Ooh, it's so big. And
it is. Those are
easy.
Amazing. And, I got those both for $20.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Barnes & Noble membership, and they were on discount.
Probably about as much as it costs to print them.
Yep.
Yes.
Have you
They're
heard
originally like $50
of
each.
Code Academy yet?
Oh, yeah.
Right, I'm sure.
I actually have a friend that works for it right now.
Code Academy is so amazing. It's free and easy, and they believe they're like almost animators. And where we were talking earlier, they want it to be accessible to everybody. Code Academy is free. You can learn how to code for free. They want people. It's a career where it's more beneficial to have more people know how to use it, because someone's going to be extremely talented and someone's going to really take off with it, and the more people who know how to code, the better.
And it's something where you can build off of what other people have done and what other people have figured out and learned.
Well, and if computers are the future, people should know how to speak the language of computers.
Yeah, it's actually when you...
I think they're starting to teach code in like.
They
middle
are.
schools now.
There was a book that I saw when I was getting these, and it's like a whole section on how to teach your kids code in elementary school.
I think it's really important. Like it's not.
Oh, that's
it's
kinda
not even particularly, in my opinion, because I didn't take that much computer science, but the one computer science class I did take, that's all it is coding. But it's not, to me, it's just like learning a new language, which kids are awesome at learning new languages. It's like,
because
Well, it's also-
using syntax, and it's using different types of
And it's learning
Like
that
rules.
that you control the computer. The computer just doesn't flash up and like
yeah, it's not made of pixies
You-
and fairies and stuff.
right, like humans made the computer. You know, humans figured out how to talk to the computers and make them work. And it's, I mean, just think about how kids act. Like if you were 5 years old and you just were handed an iPhone now, you know, you were born up knowing what an iPhone was. You don't have the kind of idea that we do of what an iPhone is built of.
From.
How long it took to make.
That's scary even to think. Like,
How they don't have that understanding, right?
I'm trying to think of the first pieces of technology that we had that would have been hard to interpret, but there really wasn't much, because we came into being when like analog was when like tape recorders, and I remember still using tapes when I was a little kid.
Oh,
Yeah, like VHS.
And that was it was
Even
easy to
before
understand
that.
how that worked, because it was pretty visual and it didn't have a lot of parts to it.
Right.
But now I'm sure if you asked a kid how an iPad worked, they would be.
Well, have you
I don't
seen?
know.
Myself,
Dude, have
Yeah.
you seen a toddler
don't
interact
know.
with an iPad? They're so.
It is weird.
They're
how,
so they click with them. Like kids
Yeah.
understand iPads. They just like know what they're doing. Before they can talk, they can use an iPad. I've seen so many kids like that who can use an
Yeah,
iPad
that is
before they
really-
can communicate.
I wonder what.
And it's just easy, visual. The imagery is so easy. It's like red goes here. You know, it's just touch, simple. But they don't get why it works or what.
They just know that it does.
It's just so strange to me.
Well,
'Cause-
yeah. It's the same with computers. That's how I was when I was little. I knew how to use a computer, but I didn't know like how a computer worked or anything like that.
yeah.
I just feel like things like the technology we have now is harder to access, as it's
it's
I don't
a
know.
bare minimum.
I think technology is getting easier
Well,
to
the thing that I'm
access.
saying is like you can't take apart iPhone.
Yeah,
or,
the hardware
like, that
wise,
is what
of
I mean.
course.
Hardware wise, no clue how you would.
Or you don't
Yeah.
see the procedure. The procedure's just like right there in front of you. You just see the end result anymore. You just
With
see this like
computers
end.
that we had and that we grew up with. We
I mean,
that
we
it
had to
was a big
struggle
tower
with
and we needed
dial-up.
parts.
We had to struggle with not like the phone lines. We had to struggle with getting onto the internet,
Wireless
and it was
what?
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
this whole big thing. Just this understanding of how to
There was process
that you have to
still
get
involved.
into the internet, or like it's a different kind of realm or a different thing. And now it's just like so easily presented. It's like the internet is always here. It's a thing. I don't know. It's a different kind of idea. I'm glad I got that growing up.
I know what you mean. It's made more simple. It's made more accessible to people that have been. Well, it's just made more accessible in general. But I definitely think that the process of doing what you have to do to get that thing to work is being phased out more than it was when we were kids.
How old did you say you were?
22.
22. Just wondering what our age
I
gaps
don't
here.
know how
Because
old you are.
I'm 23.
23? When's your birthday?
December 11.
Okay, you are older than me.
It's coming up.
91.
In a few days.
Yeah. Mine's September.
Okay. 92.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm not the oldest.
Yeah, I'm almost 24 up in here. But it really does make a difference though whether you're born in like people that are born in 89 to 93, those from maybe 87 when the internet was really first developed and conceived to 95 when it was just in everybody's households. I feel like each year made a different type of age almost. It was so prolific in technology. You see someone from 1989 that was born and someone from 90, they have a whole different relationship with technology because of what was available to them. Like I was lucky to be born when the internet was really
in its infancy.
Yeah, exactly. And by the time I was able to use the internet, it was when it was becoming household friendly and accessible.
It goes back even farther than that too. My dad,
Right.
my dad was there when he wasn't born with it, but he was like, in his adulthood whenever computers were all like Microsoft DOS, Microsoft MOS, you know what I mean? He has a whole different perspective on how computers work than
That's
you or
crazy.
I would.
And like remember how expensive gigabytes used to be.
Yeah.
Like that's
That's another thing. Like when we
ridiculous.
when we were growing up, like a gigabyte was huge. Now you can get like 36 gigabytes on
The flash drive.
a flash drive for $5. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
right. And then they were so expensive. I mean, the first. Have you guys read that article in Playboy? It is a great article. And it's about.
I do get Playboys for the articles.
It's this article about when it's after John Lennon passed away. It was a birthday party for his son, and Steve Jobs came to give a computer, one of the first MacBooks, to his son for his son to color on. And it was like his 8th birthday party or something. And Andy Warhol also showed up. Because he was invited.
What party is this? Like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, his kid's 8th birthday party. And
Jeez, that kid.
this is such a good article. It's giving me tingles because it was just. The imagery they did with it, it was like all glowing, and it was like the night that Andy Warhol met Steve Jobs, and it was funny because they met at this party, and apparently, Steve Jobs was much younger than Andy, and Andy was already really profound as an artist and a videographer. And apparently Steve Jobs came up to him and Andy came to him and was asking him about the computer. And Steve Jobs is like, I've been trying to send you one of these for months, and you just keep ignoring me. And he's like, oh, you're the Apple guy. Like, I'll take one of these. This is really cool. And apparently Andy tried to draw a circle on the one of the first Mac computers. It was, giant box thing.
Yeah.
And it was just made for coloring and making shapes, like paint pretty much. But so, Andy tried a Macintosh that night for the first time. It's such a good article. Like, go look at it. There's other amazing people there, too, of course.
If Warhol was still alive, I'm sure he would be...
Oh, at the forefront.
That.
Well, he is one of the creators of MTV.
Yeah. Well, mass production art was his...
Forte.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
He was basically the guy leading the way for it.
Right. Combining music and
pioneer.
Sound and theater and video and just all the stimulus at one time. He combined it all. He brought disco balls back.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Excuse me.
I'm sad that I still haven't been to the Warhol Museum, and I live
Why?
so close.
You can screen print. You can print anything there. If you go, they have a screen printing station in the basement, and you can just bring whatever the hell you want and print it. They have ink out the wazoo.
Let's do a field trip.
Warhol Zero, the Warhol Zero. I don't know. The cider's getting to me. The Warhol Museum is amazing. They have coloring books. It's extremely interactive, except for
It's one of those things where I've wanted to go for so long, but I could never get someone to go with me because.
Let's all go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I've been there like 3 times.
Because I was in engineering school, so all my friends were in engineering, and no one.
I think the art school goes at least once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They didn't. Where did they go this year? They didn't. Where did they go? Oh, I went with them. They went to Carnegie.
Yeah.
Carnegie.
No, but I'm pretty sure they still go to like do a Pittsburgh trip.
Yeah. Oh.
They actually the Warhol Museum trip is available for anyone. I think, like, not just exclusively art students.
It's like a
school-wide thing.
Yeah, like I think it's like $20 and you can sign up, like, no matter what your major is.
I want to go with friends. I want to go with friends though, and just be able to like go there, enjoy it for as long as I want, and then like go and have a drink somewhere in Pittsburgh. Like,
Definitely. They have a
itineraries are never
We should do that. I think it would be a lot of fun.
It is really fun, and they of course only put out 10% of what they have. Each museum has only 10% of their collection out at all times, so they're always rotating their art. They always got new stuff in.
We have a Warhol piece in our new museum. Have you seen the new museum?
I haven't been to the museum. I've been pissed about it because I had to actually go to the freaking downtown library and ask to like be in the museum and do this like whole secret James Bond thing, like know the elevator and know the door to get to the museum, and like ask for an appointment.
I will say
and
that
ask
the hours are
time.
strange.
Ask for them to have to dig out this. I'm like, can you get the kupka? Can you get it? And they're like, yes, we know where it is. And they'd go and like pull it out, and then I get to look at it for 10 minutes. And they're like, okay, bye. I'm putting it back now. That was stupid.
Oh yeah, they have
I
like
wanna
an
open
entire
it, like,
archive like in the library.
This guy was in the museum. Like his animation was played in one of the rooms in the museum.
Hey!
Yeah,
I didn't
like
know that.
opening
I didn't even know.
Opening night. Yeah. I went
Jerry
in,
going
saw
and just
everything.
signing you up
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
Probably.
Oh yeah. I went in and saw everything, and then I actually talked to Jerry and Mike Luke. They were talking outside, and I was talking to them. He's like, "Yeah, my seniors have a show going on in one of the classrooms in there." I'm like, really? So I walk back in. Sure enough, right outside the museums, in one of the classrooms, they have your guys' stuff on a big projector.
Really?
And there was like a bunch of people in there watching them.
That's
I wish I'd
cool.
known that. Like,
It was really
I would've
awesome.
gone.
I mean, Jerry's really cool about he can be aggressive about getting our stuff played and also we have material, but I mean he got our stuff played in the mountain layer before. We all
See,
had
that's
advertisements.
great. I wish that. Oh man.
We
That's
one
the
of
kind
our class
people you need.
projects, yeah, and it's more like have you heard of Kurt Hahn?
Yes.
He's an amazing educator, and he has more of that kind of philosophy where you're gonna make projects and we're learning goals. Like this is a project to show me that you learned something. And, you know, I never always, or not never, but I didn't always try so hard to make a nice finished project. It was just like, this is what we learned. But then sometimes there's more goals to it. So, like, one time we had an assignment where we had to make an advertisement for our short film festival. And those assignments were played through the mountain layer, all to promote the short film festival.
Yeah, we had them projected on the sides of buildings too. Like,
Well, to show you that. Yeah.
or
let's-
we tried to, but it didn't work out so well.
We also tried to film like part of it. We worked with a director even for
Yeah.
for his movie, but that was a total flop because no one was organized. You know, it's art people
yeah.
being
It's
disorganized. So
Oh,
like
don't even get me started on that.
have you seen Waking Life? You guys heard of Waking Life?
I've heard of it. Why is that so familiar?
It's like a series of artists creating their own imagery and in like one storyline. But this guy was trying to have us all pretty much do the same thing. We all made our own type of rotoscope, and we all did our own type of play on pretty much just enhancing video with imagery and or with like painting on digital painting. So we all were supposed to put in our own things and have like pieces for this movie for like a legitimate director. He was going to work with it, but I don't even know if he did or not. Even if he didn't, it was a cool like project to be able to helping someone in the real world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the halfway point, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
See you soon.
fake. 'Cause I can't live my life without you here by my side. You give me the feeling in my
everybody. We are back. Part 2. Had a nice little break. So I guess to start off in the second half, we're just going to talk about what we know of the history of animation, and then kind of segue it into talking about the current era of
Thank you.
animation.
Same thought as I did.
Glenn, you start us off.
Oh, well. The guy
He knows
just
so
said-
much more than I do.
What do I know? Okay, well, it all started with a little thing we like to call stop animation. Now, I haven't actually taken much history class, or many history classes on animation, and I've also not done a lot of research in it because it's not exactly where my focus is. But I do know that a lot of the styles started, a lot of the animation that I know and love started with Steamboat Willie and a lot of the Disney animations and a lot of the noodle arm physics. But that's as far as my knowledge of animation history extends to. What you guys?
Are you talking animation as far as imagery and like moving images and cartoons
yeah, we're gonna
go?
start straight
From the
back to
beginning.
that, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
our definition
well,
of
Snow White-
animation kind of is different, where we're talking about
Yeah.
animation like you're building with computers versus drawing and
talking-
making images.
Drawing, making images as far back
Okay.
as that goes.
I guess wasn't the flip book? Wasn't that
Oh yeah,
been
Yeah.
the first?
That's what I
the
think
first
of
one,
as
yeah.
like the very beginning of animation.
Yeah.
As far as the first,
Or even, I mean,
Screen-
if you
I
could even
suppose
argue
Snow
that
White,
people were trying to make movement happen in paintings before computers or television happened. There were artists that were trying to capture movement. I mean, in the early 1900s, they were making one painting, one still frame, and they would show, like, I forget the painting in particular, like the one they credit as the first painting with movement in it, and it's this, naked chick walking down a set of stairs. And you know what I'm talking about? You see her at the top of the stairs, and then
it was
you
a
just
cubist.
all you
was a
see is the
Cubist painting.
movement. Right at the same time as Picasso, but not Picasso. It was like
Yeah.
a big deal. They
It
were
was
almost
some-
rivals.
Yeah, and he actually his painting
Because Picasso
got
tried
no,
to, no
credit.
recognition. Because Picasso was so huge, and he was huge in putting movement into his paintings too. But this painting was
Told
really
later.
big because there was so much. Like you could see the light of the person moving down the stairs. It was trying to capture the light of the person. So like they were trying to do that with images, and I guess early on early television realized they could kind of conform that to television too, because you got to think about the age of television too when that started booming in the early 1900s. That was a step towards moving imagery as well.
I mean, yeah, that was essentially even regular. Well, the first films were animation because it was still taking pictures and setting them
Yes,
side by
taking
side until-
taking frames, right, and putting them over top of each other. That's how the first
creating the
cameras.
illusion of movement.
Exactly.
That picture you're talking about is nude descending a staircase, but I'm trying to think of who the artist was.
I even said that naked chick down the
Yeah,
stairs.
Yeah.
That's funny how literal that.
Downstairs.
That's like the most literal title ever.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty. If you can remember basic imagery in a painting, you can pretty much find it.
Duchamp.
Duchamp.
Yep.
I knew it was someone
Marcel
pivotal.
Duchamp.
But and those kind of people. Actually, we have a artist in our archive here, Frankisk Kupka.
Oh, yeah.
And he was amazing too in movement and light and color in painting. And like those are the kind of ideas that really I think started they really progressed a lot with the screen too. Like those were happening at the same time, and it was like, oh, Mickey Mouse is born, you know?
Yeah.
Those kind of combined ideas.
I feel like I should have done a little more. I want to know more about where that actually kind of like
That transition
took off from.
happened?
Yeah, because I want to know what made. I know Walt Disney obviously wasn't the person that
I mean, you
he capitalized.
see
on
those
it, but-
ideas happening though in film, like in early film how they would speed it up to make it more animated, or they'd speed up the characters, or and those are talkies when they would have to add the sound later sometimes, but like making things quick or unreal, unlike real life. And maybe like those kind of, or where the staples too started in animation, not making an alternate reality. It's not like real world. This isn't how the real world works, but this is some alternate realm in your head type thing. And like, oh, now we can draw, and anything is possible in a drawing. So let's bring that to movement. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, Shirley Temple was like real animated, like real over the top. Like, life isn't like that for real. So I'm trying to think of other but then and of course they were coming out with classics at the same time, like Citizen Kane, that are very realistic, and like, the plot's a little exaggerated, but it could happen. So it's like, you see those films that are playing up the animated side, kind of helping out.
Was Snow White the first? It was the first film, feature film that was animated. Okay, that's what I thought. And then, of course, the Steamboat Willie was the first like animated short. It was also the first thing Disney created, I think, as a company.
Something like that. One of.
See, those are the two that I go back. That's like where my knowledge starts from. When it comes
It's
to
really
that kind of
cool too that Mickey was a comic first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that for the longest time.
Yeah, Mickey was a comic first, and like, in his, and comics were really big too. They really play into the animation as well, but Snow White
That makes a lot of
wasn't.
sense.
Snow White was like a story, like a storybook story before they made it into a drawn out movie. But it's like, Mickey Mouse actually came from, he was a doodle.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. It almost makes you wonder if newspaper comics started to leak in, if that's like where that kind of started, if that kind of leaked into that.
Up about it is a fascinating history, and it goes back a lot longer than you think, is Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Really?
Casper the Friendly Ghost started out like as that's a storyline that goes all the way through too. That started out in the early 1900s, and it started out.
I didn't know that.
It was a story. There's like a whole.
Oh, that's something I didn't know.
Release of these early film. I mean, it was like original TV shows, after radio shows, then there were like comics for kids, and some of them were like, of course they were really serious back then. They weren't really that funny, but they were drawn imagery, and it was entertaining for kids. And so like Casper the Friendly Ghost was one of those originally. And it was like a show that came out every week, it was a television show, but it's amazing how the storyline changed. Like it started out that he was a boy, and then he died, and then like some stories say that he was already a ghost, and some of them say that he was sick and died of the flu, and some people, like, some of the stories start out that he just, like, someone was playing in a graveyard and he just came out. Some of them that he's not even that friendly. Some of the versions of him, he's not right. And then they came out. The 90s revamp and the later revamps made him really friendly, and they twisted a lot of the original aspects of the story. But it's just cool because it started out as a comic. Then they played into the I think it was mostly a drawn out visualized comic until they came up with the technology to make animated
and then,
Casper.
That's one that's from animation to the animation.
Right.
Animation.
And it's just like cool that the story lasted so long.
I can't believe I did not know that it lasted that long.
I will say, like, the movie Casper, like the actual, what was it, 95 that it came out? Like, I think going back and watching that, like the CGI or whatever animation that they used for that, like, still, like,
surprising how like
Like it's actually it's
holds
really
up well.
good. It holds
but
up.
think about
right
it. It's not that no one had to touch him really. He was opaque the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like it was
That's
a
true.
pretty good one to pick to do
It was.
early on with the lack of technology. But I forget how like there's something really drastic in the storylines that change. Like, and I think it had to do with religion. Like some people were like, "Oh, Casper's like people were believing in the afterlife or something," so they had to like fudge the whole story to like pertain to
People gotta ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, and it's cool that people aren't really people like the classics and they aren't as original anymore. Like people want to just go and replay what's old and what worked before. So like, Casper worked in the 40s. We're just gonna keep redoing that. And
They do that all the
with
time.
technology.
Like how many reboots have we seen? Like Star Wars is coming out with new movies. That's not even a reboot. That's a sequel. But we have like reboots of just everything.
Someone just turned me on to 21 Jump Street, and I didn't. I was like, oh, this is another stupid movie that came out. I don't care about it.
when I watched the first one that I saw with Jonah Hill and
Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Moves.
I didn't realize, but there's a predecessor, there's a
with
TV
Johnny
show.
Depp. Yeah, right, that whole thing. So, but it's really cool that
That's
they
why they
call
made that cameo
themselves,
in
but
it.
they call it out in the movie and in 22 Jump Street or whatever the sequel is. They call it out and they're like, when you like the orders that the officer is giving them are like basically what they did with the movie. They're like, just find something that people like and do it the same way and just deliver it the same way and they'll keep liking it. And they call it out because of how they replayed the original TV show, but it's like, yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do to have a success.
A lot of popular stories are just like
Reboots
think of
older.
yeah, like well, even like we draw a lot of ideas from like mythological things like mythos.
Yeah, like what gets better than that? You know, seriously, there's not as magical and fun of content anymore. Almost, it's like our imaginations aren't as good. It's like
All the
Where's the next?
all like the
next?
Disney stuff is from the Grimm fairy tales.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I was about
No.
to bring that up.
and
it
like
makes-
I don't think we even hit on Avatar, but that Avatar Pocahontas bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's it makes me wonder if like those stories didn't start there with like we didn't start with Pocahontas and the Grimm tales and all that stuff. Those had also leaped off of something else.
I'm
as
sure
well.
folklore, like
Or is that just
Folklore's
what our
so big.
culture has become? Now is that we've gotten to a point now where, since that was kind of like the. I mean. Okay. Those stories, obviously, at that time were created of experiences that those people had, and they had kind of reciprocated like their through old wives' tales and things like that into their stories that they wrote. But that's what we look at now for our inspiration. So it makes me wonder what the next like original story or idea that we'll get out of our generation that will inspire the next generation.
I have an idea, but I don't want to tell everybody. I mean, yeah, I've gone to. I mean, it's kind of like my bartending story. I feel like the best, most original content we can come to find today is from individuals and their own, like, just perfectly set up individual, never could be duplicated again. Just interesting stories. Like, I just want to,
Yeah, I'd like to like see what, like, because our lives now. I mean, we're not fighting for our lives, and that's typically what a lot of those stories come from. We're not experiencing or learning these new things because we haven't discovered the world yet. We're kind of like set.
we don't have a bunch,
bunch,
and we don't have a bunch of like war and famine and awful things going on.
Yeah,
to
we
like,
live in a world that's pretty not
okay.
sedentary, just
Another thing I think that kind of stifles creativity is, at least when you're comparing now to like ancient times when these myths first came about, is we know how the world works. They didn't.
Sure.
So like, at like
they had to make.
you have to think like
They had to fill in
it
the
makes
gaps there.
it makes sense that a pack of wolves could raise 2 kids. You know what I mean? With Romulus and Romulus, like that at the time makes sense. You can get a little bit of creativity with like you have to think more about how the world works, whereas now we kind of know.
That's a great point.
That's almost depressing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where I think science fiction and all that comes into play.
I think that's
Star Wars, in my opinion, is the most recent formula for like our modern day story making, because that didn't come from I mean, that came, well, as far as I know, George Lucas.
Well, that's why then the popular way of telling the story was things that they thought could have happened in our world. Now the best way to tell like
Is things that
fun,
they
interesting
think
stories is to make your own world,
Yeah.
and then you can make your own rules. So that's what I like to do, and that's what I think all the best like. You know,
And I think that's what is becoming more original too, because I mean, no, how can you recreate the same imaginary story twice? And I mean, like, Legend of the Guardians. Is that the Owl movie or the one?
yeah, that's the Owl movie.
No,
I
I'm
think.
talking about the one with Chris Pratt.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Thank you, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that is such a. No, that actually was derived for something too, wasn't it? That was derived from
That's a Marvel comic or a
Yeah, my
graphic novel
bad,
or
my
something.
bad.
That
I liked.
segues into something I want to talk about, though. I think where we need to look for that kind of storytelling now is in comics.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things to do is
I mean, that is what they used to do.
Yeah.
If we're looking at Mickey and Casper.
Yeah, is to go to Four Horsemen and just try and find some random ass comic that I've never heard of before, because you'll get some crazy stuff that you've never seen or heard of before. I have one that's called The Drifter, and it's just this really random weird story about this guy that travels between dimensions. And it's just got this crazy outlandish stuff, but that's where the basis of our stories
people
are
want
lie
stuff
now,
that's never
because-
been heard of or not thought of before.
Because our plane of the unknown is now more psychological and otherworldly. That's what we don't know. We don't know about ourselves with our minds, and we don't know about what's outside our...
Yeah, and people are just sick of the
Space.
traditional storyline or,
Well,
traditional...
I'm not so sure if that's the case, because I think one reason you keep seeing these reboots is because they're so financially successful. Like, I think
Well,
if,
yeah,
I think if
that
you're
too.
talking about like us, like the four of us, you would find that to be true. But if you're talking about audiences as a whole, especially like moms and dads,
Oh,
like
yeah.
reboot of Batman, you can't beat it. You know, give me more James Bond. They just want more and more reboots.
there's
the traditional,
over 50 James
there's
Bond
like
movies.
traditional
Yeah.
formulas that work in terms of making money, and that's what drives, I think, major storylines today is making money. So like,
Tragically enough, it's where college radio and indie film comes in with the, the revolutionaries or the avant-garde who is trying to push storylines and push the film and push animation and push everything into future, and then there's people that are very content with how it is and what they're being presented already.
Yeah.
So, you got to look for it if you want to have that new approach to things. But some people don't, some people just want to
They want what's familiar.
want what is presented to them, or they don't want to have to look for it. People like who want to see what is the new and most exciting thing are going to go look for it.
That's true.
It just makes me think that we got some great short film contestant entries. Like when we were running the short film festival, I don't think we didn't do it last year.
No, Jerry just decided to stop it, I guess.
I hope he does it next year.
Yeah,
Did he get not enough applicants?
No, I'm sure he's still got a shit ton of. They get
Really?
applicants every year.
I honestly, I don't think Jerry has the fight in him anymore, because he, like, all the years that he had to do it,
He was doing it himself.
yeah, he was doing it by himself. Like,
That's rough.
the
And,
fire
yeah,
in
it
me
is-
blood has come
Yeah.
out.
he had to organize, like, scheduling times, who played their film when, like, locations
I mean,
of which film.
you can try to get all your college. I mean, the seniors help out a lot because he is the teacher of most of our classes. But when you've got a bunch of other kids that have all their other schoolwork to be doing too, it's really, you can't ask them to keep helping you with your
Yeah.
short film festival. But the year that we were in charge of it, mostly like the last year it ran, we got to see all the entries. And of course, there are a lot that didn't even get to play. But like the one that won, the Attack of the Giant Brain Sucker.
Oh, I love
My God.
so good.
It's such a like, it pushed into film where it should be, like, it's a blending of genres, it's a blending of black and white, it's a blending of musicals versus satire.
It
Like,
has different languages in it.
it switches languages.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Yeah, and it's only 15 minutes long, and
Yeah.
it has all of that packed in.
I mean, there's songs, like, it is the most, I mean,
Comedy,
and of course
funny.
there's a stop motion, there's, this claymation giant brain sucking monster, and it's all hilarious. And it's not just a storyline, it's a storyline that taps into, like, culture and what's good in film now, and like what's happening in the film world too. It's like,
Oh wow, that's
it's
cool.
like, it's like this is a this isn't a musical, like this is black and white, and they're like, no, this is a musical because we're singing songs in it. How can there be a giant brain sucker in a musical? That's what it is. It's like there's no zombies in musicals, and they're like, and then the brain sucker comes and like kills somebody. There's mid song.
I have a copy of that.
I do too. You should give it to him.
It's
So good, and it's just like you would never like this guy is definitely what should be famous right now in film. This is the future of film, but he's getting no recognition for it because that's not what
Is he a student?
people know. I mean, no,
Is he just a
he's
community
French.
member?
Yeah, he was a
freaking
French guy.
He sent it in from
submitted to Morgantown, West Virginia. Here's my film.
And he won.
Wait, what?
And he won. He was the first place winner. Yeah, right. So like we get all kinds of contestants for this. People who are in film.
I didn't realize it was a...
Honestly, like film festivals and film contests are where avant-garde film is anymore. That's where it is.
That's why I wish we lived close to a place that had film festivals.
Oh yeah.
There are some
I follow a channel on YouTube that does they do trailers for those kind of movies.
I follow one that does reviews for
Yeah.
brand new.
a lot of time afterwards they'll send you after the film festival.
I'm never gonna be able to.
A lot of times after the film festival they'll post links to where you can go see them again or see the winners. So you can at least be in tune with that. But they that's just really where the
Part of.
Yeah, that's where everyone's pushing and trying, and it's like Hollywood they want to try for the money aspect.
Yeah.
They are trying exactly like you said earlier, and it's not
Actually,
about
that's
the forefront of film anymore.
The reason I stopped going to the movies.
Yeah, I mean,
I've stopped seeing
how many movies
that
do you
really
get excited
make
for?
me feel happy and want to go see.
Oh, Wes Anderson is the closest thing there is.
Yeah, right
and
now,
and
that's-
people
that's-
don't even really know or care or get excited about him, and he is the filmmaker of our age. I mean, him and Tarantino, obviously, Tarantino, I can't believe as famous as he is that he is still making great content. Because usually once you get that famous, you just start making crap.
Yeah.
But I'm really impressed with him. But him and Wes Anderson are the and if you would talk to someone who doesn't really know about film, they're like, oh yeah, that's that artsy weird film,
Especially with Anderson, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right, and it's amazing that they're even well known enough.
Coen brothers are kind of like that a little bit too.
Who?
Coen brothers?
Yes, they are.
I like them a lot in terms of things that are new and interesting, new ideas.
Yeah, and I had high hopes for M. Night, but he just kind of
He got
After-
too caught
that's
up in
the-
his own style.
That's the most interesting story in film is this guy who comes out with, I think his first 2 movies were huge critical successes, and then just
after that, it's just
everything else is kind of like a joke. It's almost like he's like, all right, I've
knows
succeeded,
it.
now I'm just going to make a parody of myself.
Yeah.
It's real funny.
Yeah, my sister and I were talking about that not long ago, how people just peak and then they just keep making the same crap because it worked.
Yeah.
She was
exactly going back to what we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. She was talking about the director of My Name Is Earl.
yeah.
And
I love that show.
I actually haven't watched it, but apparently I didn't realize he also wrote Raising Hope. So I haven't watched either of these shows, but she was telling me, she's like, they turned bad after season 4, but it's funny how they both turned bad after season 4. And I'm like, yeah, it's because this artist, director guy, got 2 good ideas and he didn't know when to make them quit,
Yeah.
There's
He wanted to keep prolonging it, but
Some of that's
endings are
also
important.
probably
Well,
the producers
yeah.
and stuff. They're like maybe he presents a new idea and they're like, well, we just want what works.
That's like this.
You know
yeah,
what I
or
mean?
just keep it keep milking it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's crap. This is just what the people want.
That's this whole thing that's going on with Breaking Bad is people are trying so hard to get it to come back.
Oh yeah,
And I don't want that to
no.
happen.
So yeah,
Because
sometimes
theories-
you just gotta
there's
accept
theories-
something that's over.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's theories that he wasn't dead because they didn't show him actually die. Please just let it end there. That was
Yeah.
such
So
a
good.
good ending.
Yeah,
Let's
don't-
just leave it and
Don't-
let the sleeping dog's lie.
Yeah, my sister was saying the same thing. I didn't know Parks and Recreation. I didn't realize that they made another season of that. Have you guys seen the
No, I
show?
haven't seen it,
I love
but-
Parks and
I know I've
Rec.
seen Parks and Rec, but I haven't seen the other season.
Yeah,
But-
so they made a season after they have the whole lead off oh, this is the future now and everyone's happy and everything is successful. And then the fans demanded they make another episode so bad. I haven't seen it, but my sister's like, yeah, the new season of course is crap.
It's the people that get caught in a routine of watching a show because it's on
Yeah.
that ruin shows like that.
It's yeah, just accept that it's going to be brought back as crap.
Netflix.
Yeah.
That's why I like Netflix, because it allows people to binge watch something, they can see it and be like, alright, it's over. That's it. It was a good show, I'm done with it now. Move on to the next show. It's people that watch television that try to get the shows to keep
You think?
coming.
I didn't really think of it like that. Maybe that is it. It's just like,
With
can you
Netflix,
not?
you
Is
have
it
other
not
shows to come
like
up.
it'll be okay? There's something else that'll come on. Watch it again.
But when people watch it on television, that's like their thing. They'll watch it, and then after it's over,
Once the
they're like,
where's
what
the
do I?
routine?
What am I
How do
gonna
I-
do every Sunday night?
How do I de-stress
Yeah,
from work
That's
now?
fucking
might be-
Walking Dead is an prime
Walking Dead
example
is
of
so
that.
yeah, that's so awful.
It might be like a soap opera
It's-
culture where they just want
Yeah,
more
it
and
is.
more of the same.
Holy crap!
the-
Good analogy.
So, but yeah, that's funny too because my sister is so diehard on The Walking Dead, and then we were just at my father's house for Thanksgiving, and the soap opera was on, and she's like, "How do people watch this?" And I'm like, "Really?" She's actually said that, but I mean, granted, I know they have a lot of words for their makeup and stuff, but it just seems like they are dragging it on.
See, here's the thing. The first season they did was good, and they had a good director doing it.
Frank,
And then they
what
canned
is that
him.
guy's name?
Oh,
Frank.
really?
They canned
I
him.
can't remember his
Yeah,
name.
I can't remember his name either. But
It's like Frank. It starts with a D. His last name.
Yeah.
Frank.
Because he wasn't doing what they want.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. And
It's
after that, it just like the second one, they got their budget cut, the second season, and they did the whole goddamn season on a farm. And
which
was-
it's in the
yeah.
graphic novel. The source it's based off of.
That
That's
was
one
one comic.
one comic, and then they spend a whole season on it. It's disgusting.
yeah, they spent a whole season
Wow,
on
I
that,
don't know
just
any of
drawing
this.
it out with mundane, retarded, stupid stuff. And
None of it makes sense. There's
No.
I haven't actually watched it because I just know how much of a disappointment it is. But I watch a critic who basically he just drills on
Yeah.
season 2. He says like season 1 had some issues, but for the most part it was pretty good. But season 2 is where it just gets awful. There's a part where they're trying to like get a zombie out of a well or something, so they
Yeah.
have clean drinking water. But if he's been there for like forever, isn't that already contaminated?
what are they gonna do? Take all the water out of the well? And
None of the
That doesn't
plot
any
points make
sense.
any sense. It's all just like stuff to like fill time.
Yeah.
It's all just like it's just there's the plot is
Filler
just there
and,
to so people can see zombies. You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's just an excuse so people can watch zombies.
They were just they rode the wave of zombie mania.
And people also like when there's all these interesting characters.
Finally dying
Oh
out.
my
like
God.
moral.
Have you guys? Yeah,
Problems.
except for Pride and Prejudice zombies. Have you seen that? Have you guys seen that?
Wait, that's a.
That's the thing that's happening. I was sitting. I'm just getting pissed about it. I was sitting there. My sister's got Walking Dead on, and just I'm trying to do laundry, and she's like, "Shh, really? Like you have to do it while I'm in a, can you do laundry on commercials?" So I'm trying to like tiptoe around her, and I saw this commercial for Pride and Prejudice zombies, and it's like all these ladies in corsets like sword fighting zombies. And they're all like gung ho. Ladies in corsets are all like prim and proper and they like dust their nose and stuff. And these ladies are like walking bent over and they're like, I'm going to slay some zombies. And it just doesn't make any sense. I've read Pride and Prejudice. I'm so like.
Well, it's like when that zombie mania was going on.
Do you have
there's
to,
a
can you
ton
not
of
just
books
call it
that
like
they just-
England 1800 zombies? Like, do you have to bring Pride and Prejudice down with it?
It's that whole subculture of zombie lovers, and it's just.
No one in Pride that reads Pride and Prejudice cares about zombies. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Maybe it's their attempt to try and get people to read Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, I hope so. I hope it works. I was just like livid when I saw that yesterday. I was like, hasn't the zombie thing been written out enough? No, they need to make Pride and Prejudice
it's
zombies.
finally starting to die out. The new
It's
thing
called
now,
PPZ.
The new thing now is superheroes. That
Right.
is the new.
You're
Superheroes
right.
are so overdone.
People are, but you're right though. That's kind of what they're doing with the movies. That's kind of what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. They're hunting for all the good comic novels left, and they're gonna make movies out of them. That's like
well,
what
they've
Marvel's.
released so many things now that's showing like the Marvel timeline and what movies they're gonna make.
And I haven't actually seen it yet, but I've heard Birdman is like an excellent kind of like.
It is. That's a good movie.
I don't know what to say.
That's a new director that's coming. That's like a rising star right now. You saw Birdman, right?
I haven't seen Birdman. I heard good things about
It's basically
I
like a
have it.
superhero movie, but like
On my
it's
Google.
like it's a way
Bought
different
it.
take on it, and it's
it. Is it
kinda,
like Super?
You haven't seen it?
No.
Super.
Have you guys seen Super? Oh,
Super's a little
Super.
gem. It's a little,
It is a little
quirky gem.
There's nothing related to it. When
No.
you go to look and be like, what's like Super? Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got Rainn Wilson in it.
Oh, Dwight.
And Ellen Page? Actually, I received my nickname for that movie. There's Ellen Page gets her head blown off, and she's really an excited little person. People didn't know my last name, and they're like, "We're gonna call you Bolty because your face should be blown off like
Bolty.
Ellen Page."
Oh, what the?
And this is my chef. He's an asshole. So, but my last name is Boltralik. I was like, that's pretty fitting, right? So they started. That was my
That's
restaurant
amazing.
nickname. Yeah, because she's really hyper and
Yeah.
does awful cartwheels and whatever. But
It's a good movie. It's one of those like weird quirky movies, but it's definitely
it's like it's got just I love movies that don't care and they'll throw some drawn imagery in with a real background. You know what I mean?
animation in it. It does.
Yeah, they're just like, you know, like
You've seen
when he
it.
goes and hits
No, I
someone, it's like wham,
Watch it.
you know, like real
Birdman?
comic.
Birdman and watch Birdman
I'll
because
check
that's a
that
good
out.
satire on superhero movies.
Yep.
And Super. It's just
Super?
It's a fun.
Oh, you haven't
it's a
seen
fun
Super?
movie.
You will fucking love it.
Yeah, yeah.
It is so
fun
good.
movie.
It is so good. And it's just really weird and abnormal. I was definitely gonna ask though if, since we're talking animation, CGI in general, like, when did that even? That was a mid-90s thing, right?
CGI. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was. What were some of the first CGI movies I saw?
Toy
You know what? I
Toy
definitely
Story.
loved.
Yes. Toy Story was the first Disney. That was the first Disney CGI.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah. Well, that was kind of animation too.
Go
because
back and
the-
watch the first Toy Story. It still holds up, but it's weird. You can see, like, as an animator,
glitches or
Yeah.
something.
you can just see you can tell it's done in a
It's
I don't know, in a program.
old,
like
old
it's-
school.
Yeah, like even on like the it's mainly in Sid for some reason. I noticed a lot of it. His character is like just very.
Yeah.
It's very like that. Old animation was kind of scary when it came to people. Also, the baby in that.
Yeah,
in the short
people.
before that.
Right.
But yeah, people. In
It's like the Twilight baby. Have you seen the the CGI Twilight baby? How she's
Yeah.
still like that's all scary. It's like that scariness. It's amazing that baby was so bad in
It's-
2013 or 14. Like they couldn't make a good CGI baby by now.
I know.
Well, there-
it's weird to think.
It's that phenomenon. It's called the Valley of the Uncanny or whatever. Yeah.
I was
like,
about to say that.
Oh, really?
Uncanny Valley, yeah.
Uncanny Valley. Yeah, like
It's-
you keep going up and it looks better and better, but there's that certain point where it drops and it
because
looks
it's
almost
too-
too
Yeah, it's too close
It's
to
so
human.
so real, but at the same time, there's
It's-
that tiny difference where you
yeah.
don't. Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
just makes people uneasy. Like it
Yeah.
unsettles
That's why
them.
robots
that-
now like those like not cyborgs. The human-like robots.
Yeah.
What's the
Oh.
word I'm looking for?
sex
whatever.
bot, sex robot.
I was gonna say that's where I see it the most is in like sex dolls. Like their faces are getting more and more realistic, but it's to the point where it's like I would never want to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
it's
dick in that.
it's
That's
so
Yeah,
so
have you guys
creepy.
seen those tiny little robots that
That makes me think of a movie, which we'll get to that in a second.
the small robots that are really helping with
Is it
the word
think I know
not
what
to,
movie
not
you're
to,
talking
not
about.
Tourette. I hate not Tourette's. It's not ADHD. It's starts with an A. Oh my gosh, it's a mental
What, autism?
autism. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
The robots they have helping. I know the robots they have helping for autistic children, and they're really lifelike. But the autistic children respond better to robots and respond better to technology. So they are actually. They don't think
That's-
these robots are so uncanny, and the robots are made to move a little bit slower, and they're obviously made to repeat things multiple times, so they don't lose their
Yeah, I
patience.
understand
Like,
realization.
definitely go check out this robot that is for autistic children. It's the most advanced robot available to date. I mean, granted, I know they've been developing this
It's
robot that
in
can be
that
asked
area.
questions, but yeah, right. But I mean, no. It's just amazing because of its facial features. They wanted it to have a face so that the autistic children aren't scared of it, and they can like look at it as a friend kind of. So it smiles.
That makes sense. Because isn't autism mostly like a social disorder more
Yeah,
than anything?
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
like,
You can't pick up on social cues and.
That's
things
what the
that.
robot
Also,
is for,
emotions
exactly.
Are a little bit more. They're a little different.
It's to help transition that bond, like to transition to talking to people. Like it's easier because
That's
it's like part
genius.
robot. You should go check out this robot. He's an amazing little dude, and like apparently works. The percentage rate, it's like 99% that the children are willing to work with this robot versus 3% with teachers.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's amazing.
It is amazing. So like I don't know that the uncanniness, but just like CGI was where I was going at, just because it's used in everything now, and I was really wanting to hit on explosions. That's what I wanted to hit on. Like
You know what's
new
surprising though? We're going back towards practical effects. That's starting to become.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry, if
that's
you
like-
wanted to hit on any more robot stuff, my bad. But
That's-
I was just
the-
gonna mention a movie that has to do with a sex doll, and that's Lars and the Real Girl. Please
Oh.
tell me everyone here's seen that, right? Have you seen that?
I'm
you
writing it
seen
down
that?
for
Good. That's another one. You're getting the movie list, buddy.
you. You are. I'm writing it right now.
Lars and the Real Girl is amazing. It's the movie that made me realize that Ryan Reynolds is
A cool dude.
Yeah, like he can actually act good roles.
Or he cares about roles that aren't just like gonna pump up his ego.
Yeah,
He does other stuff too.
Yeah.
It's nice.
That and another movie that he's in that's good like that is Blue Valentine. It's basically a
Blue's Clues.
It's Blue Valentine, I think.
Blue,
But it's Blue
Ryan
Valentine.
Gosling.
Yeah.
What was definitely the other? I don't know if you remember the other movie you told me I had to watch.
Probably Birdman.
Birdman. That was it. Thank you.
But Blue Valentine's basically a romance that's about a couple that fails, and it's just depressing.
That's
But
cool.
it's
500
good
somewhere.
because it's kind of like it's like taking one of those cutesy little romance movies and turning it into what it really would have.
You guys have seen Adaptation with Nicolas Cage and Meryl Streep,
No.
dude.
Don't look at me.
I know that sounds terrible.
I know you've seen some movies that I like. That I know you've seen Submarine.
Yeah,
That's a good movie.
I like that movie.
You
Yo,
seen that?
no, I'm gonna write it down
Write it
now.
down.
When I see the dude, I know Nicolas Cage and Meryl Streep. That sounds terrible, but this movie is really cool because the whole time.
How old is it?
Like 2000s, if that. But the whole time they're talking about this book or movie that they're trying to write that has no plot. They're like, we want to write this movie, and it's just about flowers or just about things that exist. And they just exist, and like this is what happens in their existence, and then there's no.
I have seen that. You told me to watch that before, and I
It's
did.
so
yeah.
good. There's no beginning, there's no end. Things just like live. There's no end or beginning to it.
Sounds like they're trying to capitalize off Rubber. Kind of premise. Oh, you've never heard of Rubber either. Man. Okay, well, Rubber.
Flubber.
Have you seen Rubber?
No.
What?
Wait, what was the
What?
other one
Have
you
you
just
seen
told me to
Rubber?
write
Have you
down
seen
though?
Rubber?
You made me watch it. I didn't like it.
It's not a good movie. It's definitely. The movie's about a tire that kills people with telekinesis.
Oh my god.
No, the whole
Actually,
the whole,
sounds kind of
sold.
cool.
the whole reason of the movie is it's that there's always an element of no reason in movies. Which in the beginning of that movie, when they talk about that, some of the things they mention definitely have reason, but it's a novelty movie. That's what I
Yeah,
like
it's
to call
like
it. It's a movie that's like I watch to watch it. It's kind of like Hobo with a Shotgun. Anyone?
Yeah.
You made me watch that too, I think.
Like you're like I sat you down, strapped you to a chair, and made you watch it.
That's why you get so excited over certain movies, and you're like, oh, you gotta watch this. And then when you watched it, it was awesome, Burlington.
You need
It's
to
not
watch.
always because it's a good movie. It's because I want you to have the same.
Because it's influential.
Sensation, yeah.
You need to see Hansel and Gretel get baked.
What?
It's
Is it on Netflix?
yeah.
Write it
It's
down.
like it's a hobo with a shotgun.
Here, all
movie.
right. I'm
Is it?
starting
Yeah.
to a list
Great.
here.
My turn for a movie you guys probably haven't seen. Have you guys ever seen Synecdoche, New York?
Mm-mm.
No.
That's a good movie. It's
But
Philip Seymour Hoffman is
Oh, okay.
Well, it's got
and
Philip
then
Seymour Hoffman.
Charlie Kaufman directs it or whatever.
What?
It's
have I not
it's
heard of
super
this before?
surreal, super mind bending. A lot of it's probably one of the most artistic movies I've ever seen. It has a lot to do with time and the passage of time. It'll really make you feel something. If you want to watch a movie and
What
then
is it?
feel
How do you
some type of way,
Synecdoche,
yeah.
Synecdoche, New York.
That's I'm gonna write down too. The Waking. What was that movie called? The Waking Life of the Sleepless Mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of.
No,
Oh no.
no, that's
Yeah, it's
I
Charlie
need to.
Kaufman too.
Oh,
Or not? Yeah, Charlie Kaufman.
no, this one is the one we were talking about. It's like about dreaming and about the dreaming state, but the whole movie is divided in like 10 segments, and each segment is drawn by a different artist.
Oh, Waking Life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's what the whole full title is, like The Waking Life of the Sleepless Mind. Isn't that it?
I'm not sure.
I'm not either.
There's another movie that's like that
Shut up.
with Keanu Reeves.
Movie suggestions.
A Scanner Darkly. The whole thing's rotoscoped, and it's like I don't know. It's about this drug that is mass produced, and Keanu Reeves is like this agent that has
Is Robert Downey Jr. in it?
yeah. The whole
I
movie's
know. Movie
rotoscoped.
I haven't seen it, but I saw it in my list of movies that I was.
Yeah,
Damn it, I
it's so
wish I knew what it was
cool the
called.
way they do it. Like
It
just,
is. It's neat. It's
Yeah,
so neat.
it makes me respect all the artists that have to
Imagine
draw
how long that
everything.
would take.
Yeah, James.
every
Oh my god.
Yeah, James is the king of rotoscope.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Let's
It
explain
isn't-
rotoscoping, because I don't know if you are picking up on what we mean when we say rotoscoping. Explain it real
Go on,
quick so he
James.
can
It's just
understand
like-
how much
Yeah, well,
work goes into that.
I mean, like video is just a bunch of frames in a row, and you take each frame and you paint over it one by one, slowly, like
Painstakingly.
yeah,
As
painstakingly.
detailed or as undetailed as you want.
Yeah.
And then
We need
you
to
put
figure out
all the
name of that
frames on
movie,
top of
because
each other.
That movie is a good movie,
And they move.
and it definitely is a movie that someone put a lot of their
Well,
life into.
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
you guys heard of the movie Boyhood?
Yeah, you definitely heard of it. It's the one where they took 12 years to film. Not 12.
Like 18
Oh yeah, they
years.
filmed the guy's
They filmed the
boy.
guy from it's a film about a kid growing up, and
Yeah.
they film him growing up. So it's they
18
took,
years in the making.
yeah, it's crazy.
That's cool.
I still haven't seen it yet, but
I haven't seen it either. I've heard it's actually not that great of a movie, but the concept's really
yeah.
Haven't
well,
you-
that's the
don't
thing.
you guys
There's
remember
movies like that. where it's
Freaking
like
The
concept is
Simpsons
supposed to be-
playing on that. There's an episode of The Simpsons, and it's like the life and times of like Maggie, blah blah blah. And then like they went to the movie, and it was this big joke. Like The Simpsons at the end of the movie, they were all skeletons because they watched the whole life of this other person and then fucked the movie theater. Right? It's pretty funny.
Pretty great. That's why Simpsons still kills it. Oh man, I had another review I was going to suggest. I tried, by the way, try doing this, and you'll realize how many movies you see in a lifetime. I tried to write or to type up a list of every movie I've ever seen. I filled 14 pages, and I have only got probably about half. Maybe not even that.
I wouldn't even
There's
remember
some
all
that
the
I
movies.
could-
Yeah,
I've
That's
seen.
well, that's the thing. I would sit and like the first thing I started with was like the trilogies and stuff that I've seen, like all the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars.
That's cool.
Harry
all that kind of
Potter,
stuff.
Yeah,
I thought of all the specials that I watched over Christmas and things like that. All the Halloween movies, blah
James
blah,
Bond
all
over
that kind of stuff.
Thanksgiving.
All the James Bond movies, and then I go into the movies that I watched on Netflix. I go into the movies that I watched that I knew I had on VHS. I watched one of the movies I went on DVD, and then just thinking about movies I'd seen in the theater because I keep all my movie tickets. And it's absurd the amount of movies that we watch now,
That's weird, because like in
and
passing,
you don't even remember them.
yeah,
half the
like
time.
if someone were to ask me like, have you seen over 100 movies? Like I can't think. I mean,
it'd be hard.
Seen
of
over 100
course, yeah,
movies.
of course, I've seen over 100 movies,
hard
but
to
it's
digest.
just it's weird to think about. Like
Think
I
about how
haven't
much
seen over
content
100.
you've absorbed into your brain,
Probably
or
with
not really
books,
absorbed.
Like, have you read over 100 books throughout your like elementary, middle, high school? Probably. You probably read over 100 books, but it's hard to like really think about.
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah, that's why information is so much easier to understand in video. I'd rather learn something on YouTube and via video than like actually learn a concept and absorb it than sit there and read a book about it. That's just how
It's-
I learn. That's how a lot more people learn now. Right. It's much more interactive.
I wish that I could. That's why I have so many books, because I want to be able to.
Books are good to reference for sure, but I think learning
So
is
hard for
in
me to-
video anymore because it's so quick. It's so visual. It's such an easy understanding.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're looking for too. Are you
Yeah,
looking for
that's true.
super in depth? Then text is probably better, depending on what it
Yeah.
is. Or are you looking
If you
for
wanna
like a
become a-
basic understanding?
Yeah,
And
if you
video
like
is
want to
obviously a
become
way better way of doing it.
really like, if you want expertise, it's either practice or you read it.
Yeah, right. And that's
study
just
it.
those are the kind of books you have. Like the books you have speak about who you are and what you want to like know. But if you want to just learn exactly like you said, learn something quick, it's all on online. But I just keep so I don't know. Are we going back to animation? Then?
I just wanted to
I wanna
cover
go
one
s-
one
yeah.
more thing over animation, and then we can probably move on from it. Do you guys think that what we're in, not like now as in right now, but over the past like 50 or so years, is that like the golden era of animation? Kind of like
I wanted to do.
Renaissance would be like the golden era of painting and sculpting.
Yeah.
I think so, just because we're in, especially 50 years ago, this was when all these techniques were being developed, which I think is really important because then you can branch out and do so much. I think like the way we viewed cartoons is super important. How much cartoon content there was, and how many animated movies there are, and then like you can see how popular it's gotten now with Pixar and stuff. I truly think now it's peaked. I think from here, I mean, animation will always be around, just like paintings are, but I don't think we'll ever have the same quality content. And I think this era will have that like that 70s rock and roll vibe where it's like there's just something special
what
about
I'm
it with
saying.
animation now than there will be 100
I was gonna
years
say
from
it.
now.
you think
Say
we're
this is the animation zeitgeist.
Yeah. Well, kind of.
It's so bad. Go ahead, James.
like it just are like do you think we're on the verge of like moving on to something new like we
Just
did
do you think
before
is this
from-
the golden era?
I definitely think it
Okay,
is.
this is my outlook on this. Is we've got we have two big animating entities that, for worldwide, that are starting to kind of, well, not one of them's starting to gear down. Ours isn't. The one in America isn't. But in Japan, one of the big ones, Studio
Ghibli.
is
I love them.
shut their doors.
Really?
Yeah.
Miyazaki's. I think he's doing like one or two more, and then he's like kind of getting out of it. Is he done for? Okay.
He's done.
Oh, their animation.
He's moving
so
on.
good though.
He's moving on to. Well, he's just retiring.
I prefer that animation over Pixar, to be honest. Pixar's nice because you go and like
Pixar has
it's a fun adventure, but like you don't. Maybe you feel even happy, but like I don't know. To me,
it doesn't have as much of a.
It doesn't touch my heart and like
Yeah.
make me think. Whereas like a Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away would. I love Spirited Away.
And
That's
I'm just
me.
like, I'm gonna choose 2D animation over 3D animation any day. I don't know. It appeals to me more.
Yeah, like why though? I agree with you so much. It's just like I think the 3D comes into the uncanny.
Yeah, it's the uncanny valley
so
because
much.
they're trying to get so close to realism that it's just like
Well, the
why
3D
not
mimics our real life space so much that it's just awkward and we don't like it. And the 2D imagery is easy to get your imagination into, and it's not so complex of a space. It's like really easy to just imagine in that, and not like the 3D space makes it harder to get into.
It is peaceful.
2D is peaceful.
And something about it is just it feels. I don't want to say more. Like not a quality, but like just something about it when you see it, it feels very artful.
I shouldn't have said art. It's more.
3D is kind of cartoony.
Well, and like it's less seamless.
3D is sculpted. That's the thing. 3D is it's an extrusion of a 2D image, which makes it seem more like a construct rather than design.
Yeah, and those are kind of awkward. Like the 3D spaces, how they work with each other. You can see the awkwardness and how the things move around each other.
Nothing's ever going to be able to interact.
Yeah, exactly.
In real life.
And that's kind of what in the 2D imagery things interact so well because that's how the artist makes them interact. They're already going to work better.
Here's an interesting thing to think about. In a game, what do you think of as being a more beautiful scene? Something up close, like a really up close view of like a texture, or looking out over like a scenic vista?
Depends, I think, on what game it is. Sometimes.
I agree with that, but
for the most part, I would say the far away view.
And that's because it's something that's projected. It's something that you see at a distance that looks like almost like a scene, like a painting.
Painting, yeah.
The thing is, the way they're getting is.
Well, yeah, I know.
Some games are so.
They're getting
real now.
More and more.
It's crazy.
That's
absolutely nuts. Some modders,
the spectrum too.
like Star Wars Battlefront just came out or whatever. It's already at the base level. It's super realistic looking.
Yeah.
Might not be that great of a game, but graphics wise, it's amazing. And then modders took it and they pumped it up 4 times as much visually. It basically looks just like real life. It's unbelievable.
There's a husband-wife duo of animators, CGI animators in Japan that made the to date most realistic CGI person.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I haven't seen it, but I don't. Doesn't surprise me.
But it's absurd. You can zoom in super close to the eye, and you can see the eyelashes is like the hair fall. Like it's insane.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where like on like
Pores
3D
and
models of
skin.
faces, you can see pores and stuff. You can see like how like sweat's starting to minorly bead out of them. It's
But I still wouldn't call it peaceful like I would call 2D art.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? They can get as close to reality as they think they can, but it still doesn't have that same aesthetic. It's kind of a beautiful thing that 2D art has.
It's exactly. I mean, it's almost like analog to 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm just thinking about how people use these CGI explosions and real in movies and stuff, but the real explosions from like the 80s, those are what look good on film.
Yeah.
That's such a big movement. Like we started talking about it earlier. Everything's moving towards everyone who knows what they're talking about in terms of movies wants practical effects. Like think of how much Jurassic Park holds up to now compared to a similar animated movie during that same time period that uses, or like a movie that uses CGI.
That uses just real props, like real ET. Like look at ET. That was
animatronics for the dinosaurs, and while you may be able to tell now they're animatronics, they still
look a lot more
so
real.
much nicer.
Exactly, and like I feel like the film will hopefully get back to that because people want a better looking and a more authentic looking
surprisingly
thing. Like
the avant-garde filmmakers are starting to do that. And
Exactly.
it's
I think the
because
best-
no one can disagree that analog is better. Analog is always going to look film, film, whether you're talking about videography or just imagery film, analog always looks better. And it captures more.
Yeah.
It just literally captures more. I'm sure you've heard of the green light at the horizon. With an analog film, you can actually capture the green light. You can't do that in digital.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I feel like people will start going back to that and the authentic explosions and the authentic...
I think so.
I mean, like,
There's no better example of that than Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
The old trilogy looks, to today's standard, the old trilogy looks more real than the new one that was made in 2000s. So what are they doing? What's J.J. Abrams doing for the brand new trilogy? He's going back to practical.
models.
That's
Like,
amazing.
It's
wow.
awesome.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings kind of, you could
Oh,
see
yeah,
that
that's
a
a
lot in
really
Lord of the
good
Rings
example.
too, right?
the original Lord of the Rings looks so good, and then the Hobbit just, like, the CGI in the Hobbit just doesn't look
Yeah,
good at
you
all.
can just, oh my god, and like the trees they made in the original, like those were definitely sculptured trees, like artists made those to move and be filmed.
Now, in some way, I think that might be done for the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. I think that could be done on purpose, or at least you could make that argument, because the Hobbit is a bit more, like, cartoony and whimsical, so it makes sense for the movie's style to be a little bit more like that.
Interpreted.
But you could just tell with you could tell technology really aged those movies.
Yeah.
It made those movies different.
Yeah.
Like,
My
I know what you
opinion,
mean
for sure.
about The Hobbit, but...
That's not as much why I think they said that. It's that.
I think that's just an excuse you could make. Because I don't even think the CGI in it's that great.
No, it's
I
not.
haven't
But-
seen the Hobbits because I want to read it first, but I watched a little bit of it over Thanksgiving, and it was the part where like Smaug's in his gold pile, or whatever. And that
yeah.
gold looks so unrealistic.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here?
The
Looks like
old
something
Lord of the
from
Rings
90s.
were for the people that had read the book and were like, they were gonna know what it was when it came out. You know what I mean? The Hobbit was made for the people that went and saw Lord of the Rings, hadn't read the book, and just wanted another like.
The Hobbit shouldn't have even been a trilogy. Like, come on.
No, it shouldn't have. It should have been one movie.
Yeah.
Or
It's
like
like
two
what,
at the most.
228 page book, right?
Yeah,
Or something like that. Yeah.
It's,
But that's in
Lord
my
of the Rings
opinion,
is 1,000
that's what I think.
pages, and yeah, that's
That's why
that's
those
one-
movies were like that.
that's a good example of where Hollywood has kind of like ruined something that should have been not.
Made me so mad. I was so disappointed by the Hobbit movies because I liked the Lord of the Rings a lot. I had all like the extended editions of it. But anyways, going back to CGI, if you guys want to see a really good example of terrible CGI, Xenoblade.
Xenoblade?
Literally the worst CGI.
Is that
I think it's ever been
XENO?
used.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't
Have you
know.
seen it, Zach?
No.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. But I was Independence Day. That movie has some pretty bad CGI.
Yeah, but that. Trust me, watch Xenoblade. There's a helicopter scene where she's driving up the side of a building on a motorcycle, and she comes up in the air on the top of the building, and the helicopter, it's so obviously, it's just bad. The helicopter's shaking in midair because it's like I don't know how, like,
That's
I could have done a better job than they did with the
But see-
rotoscoping and just the green screen effects. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, and that's just, I had a teacher once say, like, instead of just ripping off somebody else's content, create your own. And I feel like it's the same with animating. Instead of creating your own, fake helicopter, just get a fucking real. Am I allowed to
Yeah.
cuss on this?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Like,
It's very. very
I have
casual.
been. I just didn't.
Don't worry
Right.
about it.
Get your own helicopter, and it's going to look a million times better. And just that little bit of information has really helped me with my artwork, and realizing that it's just better to go film a wiener dog and make it your own content that works than to build and spend all this time creating a wiener dog on in Maya or whatever.
The best
I
use of
remember that
CGI.
That was deleted.
Oh no, I love
Of course, it was deleted. Everything I had that was good was deleted.
The best
Oh,
use
so it
of,
wasn't the purpose.
of CGI is just supplemental, like stuff in the background. That's when it's
Yeah.
perfect. But it's, to me, I think a good example, like the Matrix. That CGI doesn't hold up today either. But at the time, it was amazing. It's kind of the same way as video games. When you think of the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
I thought that
When
game
you-
was beautiful.
When you first played that, to you it was this beautiful scene, but now it's real rigid and polygonial and stuff. So it's a CGI is one of those things that just doesn't hold up. So
Yeah.
you
Agreed.
can't
And
It's not
the
timeless.
Matrix was not timeless. And the Matrix was almost like played up with that. You know how they would like take things back and like whoosh and
Yeah, like they wanted to show we got this new technology.
exactly, and
Check
it's
out what we can do with it.
right, and it's
It
like
was great
that's
for the time.
Yeah.
precisely great for the time.
Flexing their muscles. New technology flexing their muscles.
Like now, they would
Yeah,
make a
so.
movie. They couldn't just like advertise so hard that there's all this new imagery and CGI in it. Like that would be just like corny now.
Yeah.
It is kind of corny looking when you look back on it.
But it's kind of the same with the old school animation. Like the old school animation wouldn't hold up to today's standards either. But at the time, it was like, look at this cool.
Exactly, like with
animation
the
we can
wiggly
do.
arms. That's exactly what you're talking about. Like, let's see what animation can do. Let's see what CGI can do, kind of thing.
I wonder if we're gonna have a time when we go back to old crappy CGI as nostalgia.
Yeah.
For nostalgia's sake. Because we do that with. There's a band that I listen to that has their music video done in the old Noodly Arm cartoons, and it's so awesome because it's like that nostalgia factor. It's like, I haven't seen this in a long time. This reminds me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's gonna happen with.
You know what is
Bad
some
CGI.
rippy animation? Have you guys gone back and watched Dumbo?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Fake elephant
That's like.
scene? I don't know.
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
An
like
acid
how
trip.
how do they like?
Do you know that's what that's referenced from?
Oh, yeah.
Right, but my
Of course.
goodness, like that took some time. I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that playback. Like
Because nowadays we could do that pretty
you could
quickly,
generate
but
something that's trippy looking pretty easily, but to
that's
create
someone
it
drawing
and
that.
draw it, that's hard.
Oh, one band.
It sucks when people
props
don't
to
recognize it too. When people
Yeah.
are like see something that's generated and so easy to make, and they see something that
Yeah.
took so much
I
labor,
mean-
and they're like, "Oh, it's like the same amount of trippy." No, this one took a lot more time. It's way trippier.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't know, but sorry, James.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say, there's this band, Caravan Palace. They're like electro swing.
yes.
Yeah, their
I'm so
music
glad you know who
videos
they
are
are.
so good.
I
Like
never hear
animation.
anyone about them. Talk about them. I've never seen their music videos.
Oh, it's
I know
it's-
their music. I just never
Yeah,
seen their
do you know one of their album covers? It's like the robot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. There's like a video of him like
Oh, I know what I'm
stomping
talking
through the town, like destroying everything.
Yeah, I'm
It's
writing
all
that
like-
down.
picture. I can hear the song that they're probably playing for that one too.
Yeah, electro swings. It's amazing.
Where are we
It
at?
is.
Time, Clem.
What's it say? The very end.
Oh, I think we're at 2 hours.
Oh dang it! Are we really?
I think I don't know. You have to look. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Oh my god! How? Jeez. All right. Well,
You can go for
keep
it.
talking, but
We're good at talking.
yeah, we gotta.
So
All
what
things have
happens?
to come to an end.
You guys
we can
want
keep
to
talking after.
hear what I wrote?
Oh yeah, we did this last time. Zack wrote a short story and read it for us on the last podcast.
I only did the
so-
first one. I didn't have one for the second one. I want to try and do like a new
yeah,
short
what's the
story
first
for every one of these because I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
I just want to hear.
Shoot.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. It's called Infinity Man. It's kind of a funny title. I had a tough time with titles with this one. David lays scrambled within a sterile white room. A pale and dim glow highlights the laboratory, shining from above as if from some rejected heaven imitant. Insincerity radiates from the ceiling lighting alongside the curse of vision, giving a false aura of warmth which only a cozy home can provide, yet in a setting antonymous to home. Occasionally these fluorescent tubes flicker for a short spell before coyly returning to a dignified working order. Like a housefly, these flickering fluorescents seem to only serve the purpose of mockery and annoyance. David has been trapped alone with this buzzing pest for 5 long, tormentful years. Other than his weekly nurse, this soft light has been his only companion. Complete solidarity would be preferable in his view, however, and not by fault of the flicker. David hates these lights for what they reveal. Dave was born David Applegate, and through hard work became a very important man. He was the founder of Gateway Technologies, an industry conglomerate that dabbled in the technology of the future. Gateway designed and manufactured everything from strengthened alloys to genetically superior crops. Where the company really excelled was in the field of medical technology. Livers, lungs, even hearts, everything you could want they could reproduce in the lab. Cloning ability was nearly at the point of perfection, and soon the ethics of both Gateway's practice and production came into question. Not but 7 years ago, the United Surgeon Union lobbied against and slandered Gateway from the courts to the media. The company was responsible for the auto surgeon tool, now functioning in nearly every hospital across the globe. Thousands of the most educated men in medicine were now without jobs, replaced like service industry laborers by automated machines. These men have no legal grounds to stand upon, David would tell his defending lawyers. And besides, human sacrifice is a necessity for the advancement of the species. Always has been and always will be. The pyramids weren't built ethically. America wasn't built ethically, and human immortality won't be built ethically. These surgeons can either innovate or be replaced. The printing press, the sewing machine, the automobile, all of these things advance the species at the expense of some poor sap's career. They can whine and they can complain all they wish, but there is historical precedent. His lawyer, paid by the hour, was always excited to hear any of Dave's numerous rants. Like all men, Dave desired riches and immortality. Like few, he achieved both. Gateway Technologies started small, dabbling only in safe, marketable tech. As success and money poured in, Dave expanded his company and turned his industrial focus towards his true goals: robotics, computers, and biomedical research. Thundering like a war drum, Dave piloted his company into the heart of these fields, brandishing the heavy spear of capitalism held strong by a morally equivocal man seeking to outmatch God himself. Now, 62 years since the founding of Gateway Technologies, the company is on the verge of producing human immortality. Consciousness will soon be uploaded onto advanced computer systems no larger than a football. These cloned human essences will not be digital copies, but the exact brain data that makes up a person's being. Acting identical to a brain, these systems can then control robotic husks superior in every way to a natural body. Olympian sprinters will soon be outmatched by Gateway alloy legs, more powerful and enduring than any limbs formed by bones of marrow. Person power is about to double the strength of horsepower, and fundamental human knowledge will soon be downloaded onto one's brain with little repercussion. Calculus and the entire works of Shakespeare could be learned in a day by everyone and anyone. Ponce de Leon spent his entire life searching for the fountain of youth. David Applegate spent his building something even better. Paradise and utopia would not come easy for their creator, however. Cruel and ironic, fate would teach David the same lesson he often told his distant children. Life isn't fair, he would say to them. The patronizing and cynicism did little to dry their tears whenever his son or daughter would mourn their mother's untimely death. Those words were true, though, both now and then, and they crashed into Dave like a Boeing 747 one bitter day. His immortal technology was almost ready, a slang term in the tech field for 10 to 15 years off. Dave was 92 then, suffering heavily from the stressed lifestyle of a self-made man. Exactly 5 years ago today, Dave found himself on his deathbed, creeping towards a cold grave before his coveted immortality would be available. Fortunately, Gateway had already reached a pseudo-immortality by the time Dave fought against the Reaper's approach. Everything within a human body could be grown or artificially produced. The technology was expensive, and the specialists required to support a suspended body were rare. Dave had access to both, however, and so 5 years ago he began the process of suspension. Now, still 10 years from an indestructible body with an endless lifespan, Dave waits within his sterile, flickering room. Dave's essence, his conscious mind, floats within a thick glass jar filled with nutritional fluid. Endless tubes and wires sprout from this core, blossoming into a life tree whose branches connect to various nodes of an encompassing metal box, which veils all innards. What is going on?
What the heck? I'm so sorry. What is causing
What even
that?
is that? That's amazing.
Okay, keep going.
This is the brain house, an enclosed metal contraption that is the true alpha and omega. All things run into and away from this hard casing, an artificial cranium that keeps the brain structured and protected. Here his brain bobs, preserved and fed so that one day it can be rendered onto a cyborg body. This very brain's image decorates every cubicle and office within the company's buildings. Gateway's motivational manager has decided that this is the ideal propaganda to propel their researchers and engineers to work hard every day. This way, they can welcome their fascist company president back to life sooner rather than later. No brain can live without a heart, and Dave's is no different. Away in the corner of the otherwise bland room lies a laboratory-grown heart palpitating with life. The lonely organ sits nearly forgotten, uncaring of its underappreciative spot within the lab. Cold metal encompasses the heart, much like the brain. This ribcage replacement keeps the life-sustaining organs safe from punctures or collisions. Digital displays adorn this metal casing, their spikes and readings showing specialized doctors the condition of the heart. Every pulse of blood produces a sharp beat to let Dave know he's still alive, despite all contrary self-analyzed evidence. Here within this cold electronic instrument, the muscle swims in sterilized fluid, pumping endless blood through tiny arterial conduits. These conduits escape like wicked tendrils that latch onto and penetrate the nodes of the brain house. They then drill into key parts of the brain, supplying it with needed blood, which is then pumped through returning conduits and recycled by the heart. And this is Dave's second heart of 4. Eons ago, when he was still a real person, he decided a 5-year replacement was necessary on what is otherwise an organ with a 60-year lifespan. Self-safety was always Dave's top priority. Vats of emerald-colored goo stacked neatly beside another machine, idling behind the brain house. This contraption is thin and tall, a metal cylinder that holds a gallon of goo replaced weekly by nurses. 2 thick tubes run from this machine, penetrating the brain house and connecting to the glass jar that holds Dave's thoughts. With the flick of a switch activated by the assigned nurse, the machine drains the depleted liquid food from the brain jar while simultaneously pumping in a new gallon of goo. The tubes of this machine act as Dave's mouth and rectum, both orifices constantly open to the wills of the always-changing person in scrubs. For 5 years, Dave's only meal has been something he's never tasted. Steak, tuna, mangoes, vanilla ice cream, all of these are long-forgotten memories. Instead, Dave absorbs his proteins and carbs from scientifically optimized snot, forced away upon strict routine. Haunting thoughts emit heavily from this nutritional optimizer. Every time Dave sees it, he realizes he'll never again get to touch the lips with any of his favorite whores. Neither now nor ever will he get to experience another bowel movement. Closest to the door awaits Dave's most hated machine. Long optical cables wrap around auditory tubing, connecting the brain house to the sensory simulator. A large rotating scanner sits atop the device and allows Dave his vision. This black eye can rotate a full 360 degrees, or even stretch by cable from its sitting position to see every crevice of the room. Like a reluctant Sauron, Dave sees all. Large funnel-shaped objects adorn each side of the sensory simulator. Sound waves bounce into these funnels, which escort them to the innards of the machine. There they're turned into digital auditory data and sent to Dave's brain by the way of the auditory tubes. This machine allows Dave the haunting view of the fiendish flickering fluorescence above. This machine allows Dave to hear the nurse's meaningless babble when he or she enters to refill his nutritional optimizer. This machine is what has allowed Dave to see and hear his daily enrichment. Bits of music or cinema that have repeated weekly and been kept unaltered for those 5 years. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon is ingrained within Dave at this point. The unapologetic ringing of cash registers has forced Dave to come to terms with his years of greed every time money plays. His band, Gateway Technologies, has begun playing different tunes, and truly Dave has reached the dark side of the moon. It's not only what the sensory simulator provides that has driven Dave to insanity, however, it's also what it lacks. He cannot speak. He can't greet the nurses or hold conversations with them. He can't ask an aide to change the repetitive enrichment. He can't request darkness to end the obnoxious flicker. The flicker be damned, he can't request darkness to hide what he's become. David Applegate is no longer a man. David Applegate is no longer alive. He is a machine now, and will be a different machine in 10 years' time. No physical element remains, only his soul lingers, and even that is in jeopardy. When they download him into a computer 10 years from now, will he even be the same person? Will he still be David Applegate, or will he be some digital copy? What he would give to be able to tell the project managers to end it all. Some sweet and numbing sedative could be slipped in with his nutritional goo, and from there he could be shut down to welcome the sweet, restful nothing. Only then can he escape the specters of his greedy, selfish former life, if only he could speak. Instead, he must wait here, in agony, for 10 more years. Every day he has to see himself and what he's become. Dave's trapped alone with only his thoughts. All he has for company are the recurring nightmares of how he abandoned his family to pursue money and everlast. Even if he closes his sensory simulated eyes, he can't unsee how he's betrayed friends and colleagues to reach new industrial heights. Worse yet, his life's work is nothing more than a prison. He's condemned himself and the world to an endless life within robotic revenants. All Dave wants is a way to end it all. Pull the plug, he'd tell them if he could. Instead, he's trapped for years as a hodgepodge cyborg. Then one day he'll be trapped forever in an indestructible body made of some super alloy. Dave cannot speak or scream. He has no voice. Dave never lived. He sacrificed his God-given life in favor of a Dave-given one. Dave cannot die. He has no end. And that's that.
Wow.
That was cool. Dave cannot die.
That's
Scary.
that is terrifying.
I think it's a testament to the future if immortality becomes a thing, a possibility, like do we really want it?
Yeah,
like
immortality given by technology doesn't seem like a future that would be desirable. And that's a good example of why not. But
I used to always ask people if you could take a pill that would give you, like, immortality, would you? And everyone always answered yes. And I was always the one person that was like, no. Do you really want to live forever?
everything good has an end.
It'd be so frustrating to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't have, like, an indestructible body like in that. Like, you'd have to... If your loved ones were in an accident, how much more tragic would that be? Knowing that, like, otherwise they could have lived, like... Life would almost become even more sacred if it was permanent, but yet could be ended. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. It's... You'd lose... What would you... I mean, you wouldn't fear death anymore. Obviously. But what would the fear be that would replace that? Because people think...
Would it be
people think that with
would it be like living
immortality-
forever? Yeah.
Yeah, people think that with immortality you lose the fear of death, yeah, but that has to be replaced by something. It's not possible just to live without fear, and that would be, you would live past, I mean, it's...
Maybe it's the fear of being alone.
Yeah,
because
well that's
you're
what
alone.
would be that's the outcome you would get, is eventually everything, the universe doesn't last forever. Eventually all things come to an end. That's just the nature... It's the nature of things, as Tolkien would say.
Quiddity is a good word for that. It means the nature of a thing.
Did you find a word that means that? That's amazing. But yeah, it's terrifying.
I just kept wondering, like, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he
Yeah.
dead? Did they have a funeral? Where's his body? Like, I'm sure.
His body was pieced apart into different...
Well, wouldn't his family have wanted to have a funeral for his body?
Well, I guess the idea is that he's coming back. It's just like a temporary stasis
Right,
thing.
right. I get, yeah. Do they just hang up his body for later?
It's like, no, I'll scan bag. No, I'm not going to use that anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
he just
they'll be
shit on
using
Walt
the body.
Disney. Like,
Yeah.
shit on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Walt Disney. We're taking me in parts.
Yeah.
You did the whole thing.
I may have mentioned this the last podcast too, but another example of another medium, or another form of media that kind of touches on that subject is that game, Soma, where they duplicate someone's soul, consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing too. Like, at first he was all on board with this idea of like downloading your brain, but as you're sitting there waiting for 15 years, he starts to realize, will that actually be me, or will that just be a copy of me?
I mean, it might work if it was immediately done, but when you have to wait for the technology, the brain's gonna like go. I mean, you think it would go bad or change or like differ, and 15 years will forget. You know.
I experienced isolation for a couple months, and it drove me crazy. I couldn't imagine. I can't imagine people staying alone for a long period of time. What that would do. But on top of that, when you think of copying something, it's a crap shot if that consciousness, if you're the one that stays or you're the one that's there. Like, the one that you directly are experiencing when the copying happens. How do you know which one you're going to be after the...
Yeah.
After
like,
it's
which
done?
one is the real one? Like.
Yeah. That's a really strange concept to grasp, because...
Like, are you gonna have a link to the copy? Like, is it still the
You
same
shouldn't.
consciousness? Right. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's
So
like-
it's not the same consciousness.
But when you think about it,
they're gonna be different
my
as soon as
mind-
it's copied.
the one that would be. I mean, you can't copy your existence, your consciousness. So the copy would be a replication that is not you.
A clone or like
exactly.
a twin.
There's no way to take what this is and put it somewhere else. You would just be taking what that physically and scientifically is and putting it somewhere else.
That's the thing, though. A lot of science is going that way. I think they're already doing a lot of research on trying to be able to download like your exact brain into.
But that's it. Yeah, but then once it's replicated, then you're still going off in your different ways. Like it'll be up to the same up to that moment, which is like cool. I mean, because then you can grow and still be your own different people. But
well, you'd like.
My question
would
is,
you theoretically perceive like two realities?
This is the idea that we have of copying now is a digital one. That's what our understanding of copying something is. Look, I mean, if you really get down to the nitty-gritty of how something's copied in a computer, it's the specific data is copied, but it's not identical. It's not an identical copy. It's still there's a difference in the two pieces of data. It's not the same piece of data.
It's very slight, though, right? Like very, very slight. I mean, they copied all the same numbers.
Even that amount of slightness in a person, in a consciousness,
right, will be huge.
Exactly, and that's huge. Why I think that you would never experience the other thing. You would never experience the other consciousness.
What do you mean, though? They're not, like, what's not being duplicated is, like, the space of the files.
Think of it this way. If you have two files in a computer that inhabit, they never can inhabit the same point of data. That's
kind of what I was getting at. But you're still copying the same file and the same numbers. Like, the placement will make the files a little bit different.
Well,
but the file itself is still the same pixels and numbers. Like, if you have a JPEG that you're copying, the JPEG, the attachment is going to be different because of the placement of the files, but the JPEG is actually going to be the same. If you
technically, what we visually see it is.
But if you, that's what I'm saying though. Data wise, is not the same still too. It's like you're just copying the numbers.
Not.
Just the file placement makes it different.
Well, it's kind of like you can't have two files named the same thing.
It's similar to that,
right?
It's technically not. This is getting a little bit too deep into code that I don't know fully, but from what I do know, it's not the same because it's physically.
Because of
impossible.
Because the folders are in the because of where
from our standpoint, it is the same.
Well,
from the actual design of the computer, digitally.
Right, they won't be the same, but it's just because of the final end numbers that specify where the file is being saved. That will make the file differently, but the actual components, because each JPEG is a series of numbers. If you duplicate that JPEG onto even a flash drive off of your computer, it's still going to be the same numbers and still be exactly the same data for that JPEG, but the end numbers of the file name will be maybe 2 or 3 numbers off just because of the files, because of the folders that you have them in are different. Right, the JPEG will still be the same duplicate file because they're just copying numbers. It's copying
more or less
numbers.
That as an analogy though. That's the way that we see duplication. That's the way that we see copying something, and I don't think that's the way it would work fully in the copying of biological data.
I think a big thing when talking about that is there more to a human consciousness than just the data of your brain? Is there that extra spiritual element that you see with religion and souls and whatnot?
I think that's where it is, because I mean, if you would bring something to life with another human's conscious and memories, there's still that spirit element that's got to make it different. That's kind of where I think it is. You could give it the same exact data, but it's still going to be a different person. You still can't put that same spirit element. And if they were the same spirit element,
it would be a brain that had all your memories, but
if they were the same, then they would be connected with this source. You know what I mean?
I don't understand how it would just be a representation of you, because the how memory is stored in your brain, it's not zeros and ones. If they were to upload it to a computer, it would have to become zeros and ones. How is that even, how do you do that?
Yeah.
These are the philosophical questions of our time.
Yeah, I mean, you could try, and I could even see them putting into computers what we see based on colors and numbers and, reproducing imagery. But as far as feelings, coding feelings, you could code what I'm seeing in my head. That's what the camera does basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's I could see them hooking up my brain to a computer and coding decoding that. But like as far as feelings or memories go, like that you can't put into zeros and ones. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like how far are they even stretching it though? Like I could see them saying like, oh, we can hook your brain up to a computer just by them getting the imagery, and that's not really hooking your brain up to a computer to me. That's just like using your eyes as a camera.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, how they're gonna branch off in the
Insane.
future, it's like we have no say so either.
yeah, you're right.
That's the weirdest part. Like,
And like if I have a consciousness and I upload my consciousness to a computer and it's copied, like if I'm deleted, do I still exist? With it, like, will I still perceive things within the computer, even though like me physically I'm gone?
Ugh,
I like it.
terrifying.
It is terrible. Yo, we were talking about my friend and I were talking about stem cell research and like people using that as fads. You know, like don't you think people will get like
That
horns,
okay. I'm
tails?
gonna go back to a game on this too. A game did a really good representation of something like that, and it's BioShock
Oh yeah.
with the Eve, Eve, and
Plasmids.
all that plasmids. They use them
Wait,
as
I know what
fads.
Eve is. Is that the same kind of game? Eve Space?
No.
No.
Eve. I'm talking
It's
about
like
like
a-
that was the.
My bad.
It's like a
Chemical-
concept within this game.
Yeah, but there's
Oh.
sea slugs, and they essentially had something that was similar to stem cells, and that it's something that augments your body or could basically make you do different
It
things.
mutates your
But-
genes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with stem cells, that's something that you can do. Is it can grow any part of the body can be grown with stem cells. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Is that it could be a fad,
Commercialized, you know, or like it's
commercialized.
so heavily, you know, used that it's
That do you remember in the first podcast when we talked about how technology was starting to get more biomedical?
Yeah, I think so.
That's an interesting thing to think about with
Yeah.
stem cells.
that's
But
I
the one
said
thing
if,
with stem
as
cells,
soon
though,
as
Until we can figure out how to grow them without using a fetus.
Harvesting.
Yeah,
Mm.
until we can figure out how to grow them rather than harvest them, it's going to be in the background.
Hard to get through
extremely.
the political and moral.
Yeah. Which I don't think that's going to be that much farther off because I don't feel like stem cells, after we've harvested a few of them and learned how they are made up, I don't see how we could
It seems like they should
same
be.
biological data to.
I mean, they're really complex, but it seems like they should be the most basic form of cell because that's the whole thing is they branch off into all the other forms of cells. They're very versatile.
Yeah.
They're like the fundamental building block of a.
Yeah, you'd think we'd have that down by now. They probably do. Genetics is
It's just unfortunate because of how morally ambiguous the
it keeps people
studying of it is. It's it doesn't get funding.
right.
I mean, it
Right.
could be the future of medical practice. If it could be funded enough to where they wouldn't have to harvest as much. I don't know. That's the tough. That's
That's
the-
not-
I
I'm
really
saying,
think. I think as our generation, like, do we really see embryos and fetuses as people, or can we better use these blobs of this massive
cells.
cells to help actual living people? I think that's a bit more
That goes into the
moral.
whole-
It's
But
probably
that'll
more
just-
about our
it falls into
generation
the whole
changing than.
huge. Yeah.
I feel like that's just getting a
Human
lot
rights
of
is
the.
good, but it's also very limiting in some areas.
I think that's a lot of the older generation
Well, I
getting
can
out
get
of
a lot.
office. Like once we step up to the plate, there's going to be a lot of less of the traditions and the
Oh man.
delicacies. Like no one's going to be so formal
It's a
anymore.
good thing that like no one listens to this podcast.
My absolute favorite.
Stuff we talk about.
Oh, we're
People
still talking
hate us.
on here.
Yeah.
Whoops.
My absolute favorite
We
thing.
got to end soon though because we're at almost 2.5 hours.
Okay. My absolute favorite thing that's on Iron Kaiser all the time is when people blame the younger generation for the current state of the world. It's
Yeah.
like, you realize we've been able to vote for a grand total of one election?
Yeah.
Like, if there's things wrong with the world, I don't think we did that in
Not
4
our
years.
fault.
I'm pretty sure that was you and your 30 years of experience.
Yeah, and I just think when we get into office, there's going to be a lot less of those formalities. That's the word I was looking for. Thrown out the window. Like,
Oh yeah, we're getting out of the baby boomer generation.
yeah,
Finally.
like send them out. Who cares
Sorry,
about
guys, but you're
who's running?
Starting to fuck things up.
Seniority's out the door.
Yeah.
Friggin' formalities out the door. Let's put science in charge.
hallelujah.
That'd be cool. Let's do it. I want a tail. Damn it. I want a tail to hold my glass for me.
Scratch my back.
Yeah, right? Give me some extra ears.
Oh, man.
No hearing aids.
Topic
Just give me
we
some
got
great, I'll have cat ears on top of my head, my real ears on the side of my head, I'll have another pair of
World
ears.
peace will finally be achieved when all men have 8-inch dicks. You know? Why would we need to fight anymore?
No, we competing.
That'd be perfect.
Oh, man.
It's funny. I thought you were gonna say. I don't know. I think my ex thought he invented this, but he said the world peace will be achieved when everyone has a smartphone. And I like that though. I like
That's
that though.
interesting.
When everyone is able to get onto the web and look up information at their own will.
Yeah.
I've
And
seen a lot of people propose dropping that sort of thing, like in
true.
war-torn areas.
Yeah, everyone has a way to get onto the internet.
That's I think that's proven that they've done scientific research in that. That's proven that I don't know if it's Muslims within the Middle East or just Middle Easterns in general. People who have access to internet are extremely less like fundamental in terms of Islam.
Yeah.
Like their views are basically much more, I guess, culturally aligned with like
They're more
the West. I don't know, something like a bit more peaceful in a way.
A little bit more open and just you can see that where they would
Just because you have a whole new way of getting so many different ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New-
and,
right.
being able to understand how other people, other cultures,
other perceptions. You're not schooled in that
Yeah.
one way, right. And just so many people that don't like. There are third world countries, I'm sure, that turn off. They say no. I do not want any of this first world technology. I do not want any. We want to live in our, how we've learned, and without clothes and without. There's still societies out there painting themselves and don't speak. They speak the last ancient language. and
Yeah.
It's like if they had a smartphone, I'm sure they would deny it, but they could have the accessibility to learn whatever they wanted.
Yeah, and 1 out of every 1,000 of those people.
Yeah, there's gonna be
interact
one
with
black
there's
sheep who's gonna be
one.
like, "Wow, this is a cool thing."
Yeah,
And then,
and that'll progress because that's the one that'll
hey guys, we can.
went out.
Turns out we can make fire way easier.
Yeah,
What were
right.
you guys doing? Look at this video.
We've all been getting sick eating this thing, and hey, if
This
you don't
right
eat
here
this
says
thing,
not to.
yeah, right.
WebMD.
Turns out this water, if you don't boil it first, you're gonna get parasites. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
So you guys are
we
still
thought it
throwing
was
up.
a curse that was on our village.
dang.
Guys, we were just being dumb.
Like, you hate to be like that, but
Yeah. No,
that's why people are so enlightened anymore. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you have,
Universal technology.
there's the power to
Universal,
enlighten everyone.
Knowledge.
It's all about education and your access to
Yep.
it. It's the reason why during like the 10th century, the entirety of the Middle East they had vast libraries and they're leading the world in terms of math and science and
Yeah.
space.
That's why I'm so
And
pissed
then,
off.
meanwhile, England is still throwing their shit into
Were
the middle
they-
of the street and dying of the plague.
Quick question. Was the reason that the Middle East at that time was so advanced was because they were like at Silk Road? Is that why?
I don't think the Silk Road was
Well,
them.
no, it's because it went. Well, I mean, it
I think it because
went into their area, and because of that, a lot of travelers from different places. And
yeah,
there
but
was a
I don't know if it was around
intellectuals
at that
there.
time. I think that came
Oh,
later.
okay. I just was thinking
Because the Silk Road was
like,
kind
why
of
is
the
that?
way that Europe got silks from China and stuff. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah,
would have
which would
came.
move
That would
to
have
that
came when
area.
Europe was a bit more advanced. Europe wasn't as
Oh, yeah,
advanced.
you're
at
right.
this
You're right.
point.
You're right.
The reason why the Middle East was just
I should know this.
For
but
one-
I'm forgetting why.
that area was very fertile. Like we think of it now as kind of like a desert, but there was
yeah.
a time where it was
Fertile
this very fertile valley. So anytime you get like a fertile area, you're gonna get like, I guess.
Advancements in
Hmm. And then
living.
I think just the way it was an empire, and just the way empires form, or you have certain leaders everyone follows certain leaders, and then so that way you get kind of peaceful, and then during times of peace you're producing technology and like new ideas and stuff. It's just different places have been more advanced at different points in times.
Yeah.
But anyways,
That's a good spot to.
I'll let everyone say goodbye and say some things they're working on, and maybe like where to follow them on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. We should probably start doing that, especially if we're gonna have guests. Let's go around.
Yeah, do we have a Twitter page? Do we
don't have a
do we
Twitter
know?
page. We will make one.
We should.
Well, one thing we're gonna start doing now, and I'm sorry for all of you guys that are late to the party and hearing the other two podcasts. We will soon be putting them on YouTube because I know now that SoundCloud only lets us upload 3 hours of content, which doesn't work for
Unless
us.
you pay.
'cause- Yeah, which doesn't work for us because ours podcasts go up to 2 hours, so we can only have one at a time. We're gonna try and get a YouTube channel started. which means we will also be recording video along with audio as well. I just gotta make my room look nicer. But for now, you can follow each of us on our respective Twitter accounts. Justin Clem, my handle is at JSClem5002. You can follow me for updates on art and what I think about the world.
My Twitter handle is at James Q Addison, I think.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm following all three of you, so you can find me there. I don't really post anything about art on Twitter. It's just ramblings of like me being pissed at the world. But yeah, see.
Yeah. My Twitter is at no H. Because I'm Sarah with no H.
Oh.
My roommate, Sarah, is just at H because she's an H. But most of my artwork is on Facebook.com/BOLTRALIK because that's my last name. I'm also on U92 every Thursday from noon till 6 and then from 8 till 10. So I do regular rotation for 6 hours, and then I host the electronic show from 8 to 10 every Thursdays on 91.7 FM, and you can stream live at u92.wu.edu.
Guys, we got our first
How cool
spot
is that?
on our podcast.
Isn't that right?
I'm just on Twitter. I'm at Zack_Wigfield. Other than that, might be releasing some sort of publication here soon. I'm gonna try and get that out. I want to do like a collection of short stories, but first I have to make good short stories. But yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
There's episode 3, Amateur Artist Assembly signing out. Thanks for
Thanks for
listening.
joining in, everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.